Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Free Speech TV needs you. This is a variation on the World War II poster. It's true. Free Speech TV literally does not exist without you. You watch it, you tell people about it, you spread the word, and thank you for doing that. We are getting a lot of people calling in and starting to watch Free Speech TV, saying, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went and found it on, fill in the blank, on Dish or on Direct or on Sling or on my Roku box or, online at freespeech.org. And whoa, some great programming here. Well, if you're one of those people who have just joined, here's how it works. Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization. We are not funded by big, giant corporations. And as a result, we have to come to you, or Free Speech TV has to come to you. I'm speaking on their behalf. A couple of times a year and say, we need to pay the bills. Much like public television and NPR. And the many Pacifica stations that also carry my program. In that case, we provide our show for free to Pacifica, and our show is right here on Free Speech TV, and as well as on commercial stations. But the point is that these venues, these nonprofit venues, particularly Free Speech TV, only exist when you call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Any amount will help. $10, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And please don't break the bank. Just, whatever you're comfortable with really helps. And we really need to keep this network on the air. And if you have the means, you may even want to consider letting Free Speech TV know that you would offer a matching grant, a matching challenge. If we get any of those in, we'll be letting you know about it as the week goes on. But right now, we need your help. We have not hit our goal any day since we began. We're getting close occasionally, but we haven't cracked through that $10,000 a day goal that we have. So please call now. $30 gets you the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's a Vote 11-6-18 sticker. You can run around and stick it on the bumper sticker of your Republican friends. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would be vandalism. And the Vote Free Speech TV button, which you can wear and kind of shows what your standards and values are. With a $72 gift, you get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is a great book. It's very readable. It's oversized. It's a little larger book. It's great to just leave on the coffee table. And it's illustrated, but it's solid stuff. With a $120 gift, or $10 a month, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit, which is the button and sticker, plus the Vote Free Speech Vote FSTV, the logo on dark gray, made in the USA T-shirt. They're really nice. With a $240, plus you get the bumper sticker and the button. With a $240 gift, you get or $20 a month, you get the Free Speech TV hoodie kit, which is the bumper sticker, the button, and the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie. With a $360 gift, or $30 a month, you get the Free Speech TV Vote Our Future Pack, and that is the T-shirt and the hoodie and the sticker and the the button, with a $480 gift, or $40 a month for a year. You get the all of the above package. And that is my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America, the Vote Free Speech TV logo T-shirt, the Vote Free Speech TV logo sweatshirt, hoodie, plus the button and the sticker. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland and I'll take you to lunch. I'll buy lunch for you. I so enjoy these. We've got one coming up Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of people will drop by and hang out here watching the show, and we'll walk to the restaurant next door. But the bottom line is, it's not about how much you can give. A lot of small gifts are just as important as a few large gifts. And we are very, very grateful for all the small gifts, the widow's tithe, to use the biblical metaphor. And as opposed to, or in addition to, we're also very, very grateful for the large gifts. You know, some people who have the ability, the means, the financial means to help out in a big way, do so pretty much every pledge drive. And it is so useful and so important, particularly when they're given as matching grants, that we can use that money to encourage others, to strengthen their donations. So call now. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. 877-378-8669. You can call it, by the way, I believe year-round, and you can certainly make a contribution at Free Speech TV's website, freespeech.org. And that contribution, if you please do it during our show, and it becomes a brownie point for us. But the bottom line is, if you value my program and the other programming on Free Speech TV, please call now, 877-378.
Thom Hartmann Program.
Greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. Thom Hartmann here with you. And there is a major storm heading for North Carolina. This is the same North Carolina, by the way, that in 2012 commissioned a scientific study of the consequences of climate change. And this was the science panel of the North Carolina Coastal Resources Commissioner. And they sat down with a group of scientists, not liberal scientists. I realize, there are some conservatives who don't believe in science. They think the world is only 6,000 years old, climate change is not happening, and humans, we all came here via stork. But the reality is climate change is real. And when the North Carolina Coastal Research Commission 6 years ago now, released this report saying that climate change was going to essentially alter the coastline, the developers in North Carolina freaked out. And they took their money, as the Supreme Court has said they can do, to the Republican Party in North Carolina and the North Carolina legislators and said, here, have some money, make this go away. And sure enough, the legislators in the General Assembly of North Carolina in 2012 passed a law making it illegal for towns, cities, counties, any community in North Carolina to use the information in this scientific report that the state of North Carolina paid for, to use that information for any kind of planning purposes. In other words, you can't stop developers from building houses that they can sell at a huge profit right now to gullible people who don't realize that that house may well be underwater in 30 years. Or even in 10 years, you're going to start seeing, regular flooding events that are going to wipe it out. No, you can't do that. And meanwhile, this is pretty amazing. This could be, we'll see, it could be one of the most powerful storms of our lifetime. It certainly looked like it was yesterday. It looks now like it might be coming down to a level 3 where it hits, instead of coming in as a level 4. But this is Dr. Stan Riggs. He was a marine geologist at East Carolina University. And he was a member of a North Carolina Scientific Advisory Board. He lives in his campus office is in Greenville, North Carolina, a city that was 6 feet underwater in Hurricane Floyd in 1999. And he told Will Bunch, who wrote for commondreams.org, he said, quote, North Carolina had a plan to deal with sea level and climate change, but they took it off the table and pulled the rug out from under the scientific panel. A year and a half ago, Riggs quit the advisory board rather than constantly changing things to make the so-called pro-development Republicans happy. He again he told Will Bunch, I'm an older person. I'm not wasting any more of my life on BS. Only he didn't just use the letters. And this is what's happening, right? This is what's happening right now. We've got major climate disasters. And this is, by the way, it's real. This is from the NASA website. Let's just go to our federal government, right? The NASA website. The website is climate.nasa.gov/evidence. Climate.nasa.gov/evidence. Scientific evidence for warming of the climate system is unequivocal. It is the result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented over decades to millennia. In other words, there has never been a time when the world warmed this fast over a period of tens of years or even thousands of years. At least, presumably within the context of the lifespan of the human species. Back again to NASA's website, the heat-trapping nature of carbon dioxide and other gases was demonstrated in the mid-19th century. The current warming is occurring roughly 10 times faster than the average rate of Ice Age recovery warming. This is, from 10,000 years ago at the end of the Ice Age. That was natural climate change. We're running 10 times faster than natural climate change that completely altered the face of the planet. Our temperature has risen 1.62 degrees Fahrenheit, 0.9 of a degree Celsius, since the late 19th century, quoting from the NASA website. Driven largely by increased carbon dioxide and other human-made emissions into the atmosphere. Most of the warming occurred in the last 35 years, with the 5 warmest years on record taking place since 2010. 2016 was the warmest year on record, 8 of the 12 months that make up the year from January through September, with the exception of June, were the warmest on record for those respective months. So, and it goes on from there, but obviously the climate website at NASA has not been updated since 2016 because Trump came in and said, hey, I'm taking money from developers, I'm taking money from the oil industry, I'm taking money from the fossil fuel industry. The Republican Party is supported in large part by the fossil fuel industry, so what if they're killing us all? It's the same position the Republicans took on asbestos for decades. So what if it's killing people? They give us money. It's the same position Republicans took on tobacco. It's why, 7 tobacco executives, or maybe it was 5, lied to Congress, lied right to their faces. In fact, the guy they lied to was my senator from Oregon, Ron Wyden. They lied right to his face and said, no, tobacco isn't addictive as far as I know. Right. So why did the Republican Party let the tobacco industry get away with this for so long? Because they were taking their money. Every Republican office in the United States should have a red light out in front. In the old days when the houses of ill repute had red lights. Yes, we'll do it for money. Climate change, no problem. We'll knock it down for money. Tobacco, no problem. Just give us some money. Fossil fuels, no problem. Pipelines, poisoning people, defouling the waters, destroying historical sites, indigenous sites. Just give us the money. We'll make it happen. We don't care. We're Republicans. We sell out to whoever gives us the most money. Rush Limbaugh. Ken Vogel did a piece in Politico a couple of years ago about how Limbaugh's and Hannity and a bunch of the other right-wing hosts are literally getting millions of dollars a year, essentially under the table via the Heritage Foundation and other right-wing groups. And of course, they're largely funded by the Kochs, who are in the business of what? Fossil fuels. And so Limbaugh comes out yesterday. The forecast of the destruction potential and gloom is all to heighten the belief in climate change. Hurricanes and hurricane forecasting is much like is like much else that the left has gotten its hands on, and they politicize these things. Now, let me get this straight. All the scientists agree, and I mean literally all the scientists agree. People say, oh, it's 98% consensus. If you're looking at actual scientists, actual peer-reviewed publications, actual credible scientists, all the scientists agree. Climate change is real, and it's being caused by human beings. So when a political party takes money from an industry that is causing a problem, the same thing is happening with Big Pharma. We're going to talk about that in the second or third hour of the program today. But when a political party decides to take money from an industry and push legislation and policy that is the opposite of what the science says, and then there's shills like Limbaugh come out and, also taking money from these industries. Indirectly, it may be, but still, there it is. And then these shills come out and go, oh, they're trying to politicize this. Those Democrats who want to rely on science, they're just politicizing this issue. And I'm sorry, the world is warming. It actually is warming. And it's a real tragedy that in North Carolina, the scientists who are, issuing the alarm are having to resign from the panel because the General Assembly, the North Carolina legislature, passed a law saying that towns in North Carolina may not by law rely on scientific information provided by the state of North Carolina. This is how breathtaking the corruption in the Republican Party is.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
The Republican Party is not just a wholly owned subsidiary of, the tobacco and the fossil fuel. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of anybody who will give them money. And welcome back. Pick up some of your phone calls here. Mike in Los Angeles, listening, or in Lomita, California, listening on KPFK. Hey, Mike, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, just want to talk about the petition to impeach Judge Kavanaugh for perjury.
Yes.
And I wanted to raise the fact that the perjury he's alleged to have committed was over receiving stolen property. Now, as anyone knows who has seen Make Mine Mink, the word for somebody who receives stolen property is a fence. And fences make very good neighbors, but very poor judges.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard Kavanaugh referred to as a fence, but it's interesting. Jeff Merkley is going to be on the third hour of our program today, talking in part about this and also about the whole, disaster of money being taken away from FEMA and given to ICE to build more private for-profit prisons for little children. But Kavanaugh is bizarre. I mean, he's just bizarre. This guy, lying through his teeth and believing that he's going to get away with it. I don't see how people can put up with it.
He must think he's a tobacco executive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's the thing. The Republican Party, I just went through a list of toxic industries. One of the things that was not on my list and certainly should have been is toxic religion. You've got these right-wing crazies and who actually believe in original sin. They think women are the cause of all our problems. The fact that we are born out of a woman's womb means that we are covered in that original sin, and women have to be restrained and controlled and regulated, and their bodies regulated because of that original sin, which can only be removed by becoming proclaiming Christianity, etc. It is a bizarre and misogynistic worldview, and basically, the core of Judaism and Christianity is misogyny, is male power, male supremacy, and Brett Kavanaugh is like one of its most articulate spokespeople right now. It's incredible. Mike, thanks a lot for the call. I need to move along here. I appreciate it. Marta in Big Bear Lake, California. Hey, Marta, what's up?
Well, little complex or related question. Are the Democratic politicians, especially our leaders, focusing enough on this issue, which we should, I believe, call global climate disruption instead of change,
Yeah.
climate change, and I've heard that. Are they really emphasizing this, or are they? And the liberal media too. You're the only one I'm hearing that is really informing us.
That's because there's no such thing as a liberal media unless you're talking about KPFK or Free Speech TV, Pacifica. Here's your liberal media right here. But yeah, you're right.
Well,
Forgive my
to
interrupting.
me, you are the definition of, not just you personally, but your show is the definition of progressive media. And I don't hear anything except obsession with Trump, Russia, and Kavanaugh, which are all important. But this is what is the crisis that allows us to consider the difference between Republicans and Democrats. And this is why people vote Green Party and Jill Stein, because this is a crisis, and the Democrats are not focusing on this.
I believe, my read, Marta, of the Democratic Party is that they are all over climate change. The large problem that we have is that the media won't pick those stories up. Mark Pocan does a thing on climate change. It doesn't get picked up by any of the media whatsoever. So, Marta, we all need to pay more attention to it. Thank you. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And there's another topic here that I want to bring up and just rant about for a moment, and then we'll pick up your phone calls and we can talk about all this stuff today. Just a heads up as we go through the program. In our first hour here, I really want to get into climate change and profit-driven pharmaceuticals and ask the question, is this even appropriate in a capitalist system? In our second hour, we're going to be talking about Trump and the GOP lying to us about Social Security and why that's a big deal. And Jeff Merkley is going to drop by toward the end of that second hour and talk with us about the money that is being diverted away from FEMA into ICE to build detention facilities for children. And in our third hour, Gitmo is back for kids. Of course, we will expand on that. But this whole pharmaceutical thing is absolutely bizarre. Here's this guy. He is the founder and CEO of Nostrum Pharmaceuticals. And he's saying that Martin Shkreli, and remember Pharma Bro, the guy who did a 5,000% increase in the price of a critical AIDS drug because he knew he could get it because people would die without it. And so they would beg, borrow, or steal the money. He's speaking well of Martin Shkreli. He says, I agree with Martin Shkreli that when he raised the price of his drug, he was within his rights because he had to reward his shareholders. Martin Shkreli, of course, is in prison right now, but not for this. He's in prison for fraud in his hedge fund. But this guy, his name is Nirmal Mulye, Nirmalmulye. And his company makes a drug called nitrofuratoin, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm just pronouncing it phonetically. And it was selling it. It's an essential antibiotic. In fact, the World Health Organization lists it as one of the most essential medicines for lower urinary tract infections, which can be deadly. And this drug was selling for $500 a bottle. He just raised the price to $2,300 a bottle. So if you get a UTI, a urinary tract infection, and your doctor thinks you should be taking this drug, get ready. $2,300 bucks. The guy talks to the Financial Times and said that his decision to increase this price, he says, this is the same as an art dealer who sells a painting for $500 million. And I'm in this business to make money. In fact, here's a verbatim quote. I think it is a moral requirement to make money when you can, to sell the product for the highest price. That's his quote from the Financial Times today. And I mean, this is how bad it is, right? Not only is the Republican Party just fine with all this kind of thing, as we well know. I mean, you know, keep in mind, Billy Towson, the congressman from Louisiana, who you know, came on this program and talked about this back years ago. The Republicans were working with the Democrats to put together Medicare Part D. Medicare Part D was going to allow people who are on Medicare to have their prescription drugs paid for. And because the government was going to start paying for billions of dollars worth of pharmaceuticals, I think probably hundreds of billions of dollars worth of pharmaceuticals, because the government was about to begin paying for those things, the Democrats said, hey, you know, let's do bulk buying. You know, the Veterans Administration, when they buy penicillin, they don't pay $1 a pill, you know, retail, what you'd pay at the drugstore, or $5 a pill, hyper retail, what you pay at the in a hospital. For that, the Veterans Administration doesn't pay that kind of money. They pay a penny a pill or thereabouts. Why? Because they're bulk buying. They're going into the pharmaceutical manufacturers and they're saying, you know, we're going to buy 1 million pills over the course of the next 12 months, so give us the 1 million pill price. Oh, that's a penny a pill. And so Billy Towson comes along, this Republican from Louisiana, and says, no, wait a minute. We've got to write into the Medicare law that it's against the law for the people who run Medicare to have that conversation with the drug company. It's against the law for them to negotiate prices. They have to buy, Medicare has to buy its drugs at the full retail price, even though they're buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of drugs. Now, why would you do this? Obviously, it's a subsidy to the drug companies. And guess what Billy Towson did right after he passed that? He went to whoever was Speaker of the House at the time, and it might have been Paul Ryan, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But anyhow, he went to the Speaker of the House, I think it was Denny Hastert, and said, I would like you to release me from being a congressman without penalty so that I can take a $2 million a year job as the head of the pharmaceutical lobby, pharma. And they said, fine. Republicans said, fine, no problem. Go for it, Billy. So you've got the Republican Party, again, as an institution, and basically every Republican out there saying, yes, let's screw the seniors. Let's screw the federal government. Let's hurt Medicaid and Medicare, both of them. And let's help the profits of the pharmaceutical industry, including this guy, Nirmal Mulye, who just raised the price of an essential urinary tract antibiotic from $500 a bottle to $2,300 a bottle because he could. Simply because he could. No research, no costs, just because he could.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
And of course, a big chunk of that cash is going to end up in Nirmal's personal pocket, of course. We'll be back with your calls after this. Free Speech TV needs you. This is a variation on the World War II poster. It's true. Free Speech TV literally does not exist without you. You watch it, you tell people about it, you spread the word, and thank you for doing that. We are getting a lot of people calling in and starting to watch Free Speech TV saying, you know, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went and found it on, you know, fill in the blank, on Dish or on Direct or on Sling or on my Roku box or, you know, online at freespeech.org. You know, and whoa, some great programming here. Well, if you're one of those people who have just joined, here's how it works. Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization. We are not funded by big, giant corporations. And as a result, we have to come to you, or Free Speech TV has to come to you, I'm speaking on their behalf, a couple of times a year and say, we need to pay the bills. Much like public television and NPR. And the many Pacifica stations that also carry my program. In that case, we provide our show for free to Pacifica, and our show is right here on Free Speech TV, and as well as on commercial stations. But the point is that these venues, these nonprofit venues, particularly Free Speech TV, only exist when you call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Any amount will help. $10, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And please don't break the bank. Just, whatever you're comfortable with really helps. And we really need to keep this network on the air. And if you have the means, you may even want to consider letting Free Speech TV know that you would offer a matching grant, a matching challenge. If we get any of those in, we'll be letting you know about it as the week goes on. But right now, we need your help. We have not hit our goal any day since we began. We're getting close occasionally, but we haven't cracked through that $10,000 a day goal that we have. So please call now. $30 gets you the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's a Vote 11-6-18 sticker. You can run around and stick it on the bumper sticker of your Republican friends. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would be vandalism. And the Vote Free Speech TV button, which you can wear and kind of shows what your standards and values are. With a $72 gift, you get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is a great book. It's very readable. It's oversized. It's a little larger book. It's great to just leave on the coffee table. And it's illustrated, but it's solid stuff. With a $120 gift, or $10 a month, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit, which is the button and sticker, plus the Vote Free Speech Vote FSTV, the logo on dark gray, made in the USA T-shirt. They're really nice. With a $240, plus you get the bumper sticker and the button. With a $240 gift, you get or $20 a month, you get the Free Speech TV hoodie kit, which is the bumper sticker, the button, and the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie. With a $360 gift, or $30 a month, you get the Free Speech TV Vote Our Future pack, and that is the T-shirt and the hoodie and the sticker and the button. With a $480 gift, or $40 a month for a year, you get the All of the Above package, and that is my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America, the Vote Free Speech TV logo, T-shirt, the Vote Free Speech TV logo sweatshirt, hoodie, plus the button and the sticker. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland and I'll take you to lunch. I'll buy lunch for you. I so enjoy these. We've got one coming up Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of people will drop by and hang out here watching the show, and we'll walk to the restaurant next door. But the bottom line is, it's not about how much you can give. A lot of small gifts are just as important as a few large gifts. And we are very, very grateful for all the small gifts, the widow's tithe, to use the biblical metaphor. And as opposed to, or in addition to, we're also very, very grateful for the large gifts. Some people who have the ability, the means, the financial means to help out in a big way, do so pretty much every pledge drive. And it is so useful and so important, particularly when they're given as matching grants, that we can use that money to encourage others, to strengthen their donations. So call now. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. 877-378-8669. You can call it, by the way, I believe year-round, and you can certainly make a contribution at Free Speech TV's website, freespeech.org. And that contribution, if you please do it during our show, and it becomes a brownie point for us. But the bottom line is, if you value my program and the other programming on Free Speech TV, please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Welcome back. 34 minutes past the hour. Thom Hartmann here with you. Louise just told me that she had 3 people call in just as the first minutes of the show saying, I'd like to be on with Congressman Pocan today. He's normally here on Wednesday. He can't do it today because there's a schedule conflict. He will be on tomorrow. So just FYI, our middays with Mark will roll on. Steve in Brunswick, Georgia. Am I saying that right, Steve, watching Free Speech TV?
It's Brunswick, Georgia.
Brunswick. I'm sorry. I've been to Brunswick, Georgia. So what's on your mind, Steve?
Okay. Tom, I just heard you talking about nitrofurantoin.
Yes.
And 52 years ago, I was a drug salesman for a company called Eaton Laboratories. It was a division of Norwich Pharmacal.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold the nitrofurantoins. I sold the drug. I'm pretty sure it was called furoxone liquid, and it was for intestinal problems. It's a bactericidal drug, and I'm sure that drug is way, way, way off patent.
Yeah, I believe his company, just like Shrelly's company, is a so-called generic drug company. It's just that what's happened is that the generic drug companies are basically, this is what's called a monopsony, where companies carve out their little corners of an industry and they essentially agree not to compete with each other. That's what's going on here, in my opinion.
Okay, I got you. The thing that I wanted to mention to you is that drug. When I was in my 20s when I sold it. I was right out of. I was in Vietnam. It was 1966, and I was selling that drug. And they make a whole series of generic drugs from the nitrofurantoins, and that is not a patented drug. That is way, way off patent.
Yep. And
somebody should go in there because it's not an expensive drug to make.
Yeah, and but the problem is getting entry into the marketplace. First of all, there's substantial costs to start a pharmaceutical company, as you well know. All the regulatory costs and the manufacturing. And it's not like opening a McDonald's. And then once you've got that in place, then you've got to get there's these middlemen, and perhaps the name of what they are and what they do. But there are these middlemen and women presumably in the supply chain who are between the drug companies and the hospitals, between the drug companies and the pharmacies. And I think they might be called pharmacy managers, but whatever. And they basically decide, what the formulary is going to be, what drugs are going to be sold and from what companies. And so if you don't have an in there, then your drug doesn't make it to market.
Well, I mean, this is not something that they invented. This is invented by a company called the Eaton Laboratories, a division of Norwich Pharmacal, which
Right.
I don't think is in business anymore. But that is not an expensive drug to make, and I'm sure I don't think that they've been able to repatent it, not if it's going under the name of nitrofurantoin.
No, this is as I said, this is just generic. Steve, thanks for sharing your experience and your story with us. I appreciate it. Great to hear from you. Brad in Chicago. Hey, Brad, thanks for listening to Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT. You wanted to talk about climate change?
Great to be on. Here's my comment, and it goes like this. I have a relative who's a very strong Trump supporter and alleged Christian, and I don't talk to this relative, but what they said about climate change was God can get us out of it. And I tell them, God's not coming. God will come on Judgment Day, not before. He leaves us here to make our own fate, and that's basically my comment. And anybody who, I think a lot of Christians believe somehow God is going to get us out of it. Therefore, we can do anything we want to the climate.
Well, and this is not a new argument, Brad. Are you old enough to remember James Watt, Ronald Reagan's Interior Secretary?
I remember him. I don't remember the arguments he made at the time.
Here's, and he said this right out in front of the world. I mean, this was, I believe this was in a news conference. I remember it quite vividly from the 80s. I was just absolutely shocked by it. James Watt was selling off public lands to oil and gas drilling companies and to mining companies, particularly uranium mining companies, for literally pennies on the dollar. These companies,
I remember that.
Yeah, they would invest a few $1 million and they'd get literally billions of dollars worth of our natural resources that used to be on our public lands. And by the way, Ryan Zinke is doing the same thing right now. That was what cutting up Bears Ears was all about, was uranium mining. And when he was confronted about it, when James Watt was confronted about it, why are you selling off these public lands? They're going to be despoiled. They're going to be ruined by these mining and drilling operations. And he said, don't worry, Jesus is coming back soon, and when he returns, he will make all things new. It will all be restored. Honest to God.
Oh, my.
I mean, you could Google this. I'm not making this up. And that was the official position of the Reagan administration, was it doesn't matter what we sell off. It doesn't matter how we destroy public lands. God's going to fix it all. So your relative is not, some wild-eyed crackpot. Well, maybe he is, but he's not following some recently invented Alex Jones conspiracy theory. This is this tracks back to the Reagan administration, and probably well before that. Although Reagan was, I believe, the first president, certainly in my lifetime, I think the first president since Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover, who put just such hardcore right-wing cranks into the cabinet. So.
I don't know if I could just add one other thing. I think Trump's creating chaos to get to an anarchy state where the martial law can be imposed, and then we can have totalitarianism. That's the only other thing I'd like to say that you could maybe think about in your third hour.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, I would have suggested that was conspiracy crazy talk. I can no longer suggest that, Brad. I think that there's a very real possibility that Trump actually does believe that chaos works. He uses chaos in business. He's using chaos now in government, and that a militarized state is the end goal of Trump. I'm perfectly willing to believe that at this point. Brad, thanks for the call. Powerful stuff. Adam in Chicago. Hey, Adam, what's up?
Hi there, Tom. Big fan. I am a former free market. Like, hey, healthcare is the free market, let's do that. And I have, I'd say I've recently changed to being right on board with the Bernie, Medicare for All bandwagon after I started doing some digging into how much my insurance company marked up my Crohn's disease medication. Mm-hmm. I am on infliximab, and I recently got a bill for it. And it's been going up and up and up and up. And I found out that it costs about $675 to make it. And if I went online right now,
this is for a year's supply, presumably.
Oh no, this is just one.
Okay.
One injection. It lasts about 8 weeks.
Wow.
It's an immunosuppressor.
Right. And
I went online and found that I could buy it right now through like Costco's pharmacy for $2,500. Which is still a lot, but okay, $2,500. I recently got a bill from my insurance company, and they charged me about $16,000 for it.
You mean they're paying the drug company $16,000, or they're asking you to pay the drug company $16,000?
Well,
or that's your
insurance
kosher
company. My insurance company, Blue Cross Blue Shield, covers that.
Okay.
But so I recently called Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I was like, guys, what's up? Like, this is an incredible markup. And I gave them all the numbers, and they said, well, that's the price that we negotiated with the pharmacy to provide it to you. And my response was, well, you worked for me. No,
they work for their stockholders. In modern America, I mean, it used to, prior to Reagan changing the rules of how corporations work, yeah, they to a certain extent worked for you. But companies no longer care about their customers. Not when they're selling something that you'll die without. They don't care.
Yeah, like the free market is failing us here. It's not working.
Well, this is an area. I mean, healthcare is an area where the so-called free market is. I'm not saying that our pharmaceutical companies should be owned by the government, but they should be regulated, and their ability to price gouge us needs to be aggressively regulated. Let these guys, right now you've got people who are going into the pharmaceutical business because they want to become billionaires. I have no problem if somebody goes into the pharmaceutical business because they want to become a millionaire. They want to make $1 million a year. But if they want to make $1 billion a year, or $30 million a year, or $50 million, some absurd and obscene amount of money, go make computers, go make blue jeans, go make something that doesn't influence the quality and viability of my life. Those things that have to do with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, this core stuff, the bottom half of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that pyramid, those things either need to be part of the commons and owned collectively, and I don't think that would work for the pharmaceutical industry, or they need to be regulated in a way that the good parts of their behavior accrue benefit to all of us, and the bad parts of their behavior are basically prohibited, that they just can't rip us off. This is obscene. Adam, thanks for your story. It's one of many. Louise just had a very similar experience with the pharmacy just a couple of days ago, and it was one where the company, the insurance company that pays for the drugs, said, you got to go back to your doctor and have your doctor fill out forms for us to pay for a drug that your doctor has already prescribed. This is nuts.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archive.
But they just didn't want to pay for the more expensive natural version of this thyroid medication instead of the cheaper synthetic one. I mean, it's wrong. Welcome back. John in Los Angeles, listening on KPFK. Hey, John, what's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing, Thom Hartmann? Great show.
Thank you.
Look, two things. One, people, the Republicans, they talk about...
Hey, John, your phone just went funky, like you got your thumb over the microphone or something. Can you speak right into it or make sure it's not on speaker or whatever?
Now?
Yeah, go for it. Continue.
All right, the Republicans got this all screwed up. First of all, and especially the evangelicals, they're talking about climate change, it isn't real, or God will save us. It's in the Bible we are supposed to be the husbandrymen to the ground. We are supposed to be stewards of and to the earth. It's in the Bible in 30 different places.
Yep.
And I'm not a Christian, but I am a theological scholar. It's in the Bible in over 30 places. That's one.
So we're supposed to be stewards of the earth, which, whether it's in the Bible or not, makes good sense. I mean, you don't, dump in your own nest. And the entire planet, obviously, is now our nest.
Yeah, we got a similar funky little saying. Yes. But that also entails that we are not supposed to be destroying, with the wasting.
Yep.
And it's in the Bible. It's in like 30 different places.
Yep.
And then the second thing I want to say is these guys in a pharmaceutical company, actually, personally, when they make moves like that, they should go to jail. Okay? Because it's advantageous.
Moves like what?
Quality of life.
Moves like what, John?
Moves like raising your drug 700%.
Oh, the pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And Shirley is in jail. John, thank you for the call. Well said. John, Shirley is in jail, but he's not in jail for this kind of thing, which, frankly, I think he should be. Mark in San Jose, California. Hey, Mark, thanks for watching Free Speech TV. What's up?
Hi, Tom. Yeah, thanks. Just a quick insurance story. I was a union member, and I was getting my prescriptions for $10 a piece at Kaiser Pharmanetti. And then I lost my insurance, and those same drugs at Kaiser cost $600, $700. Yeah, but I went to Costco and I got them for about $30-$40. You know, and I know the same thing is happening with Tesla here. You know, the government is putting them out of business.
Wow.
But I'm an English teacher, and I liked your metaphor about a blinking red light, so I wanted to talk about that.
Okay, real quick. We've got 35 seconds.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, I think it gets a little bit lost when you say just Republicans or Democrats, and I'd like you to add that they're lawyers or lawyers' tools, and then we can say the Republicans are global lawyer tools and the Democrats are lawmakers.
That's a good metaphor.
That eliminates that third-party thing, and then when we talk about the bin Laden groups, we can say that Democratic lawyers, special forces, and international cooperation against bin Laden, and Republican lawmakers, breaking lawyers, illegal wars to start 20-year occupations for contractors. One problem here is let's follow the money.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm fond of just simply saying the Republicans are in favor of the billionaires and big business, and the Democrats are in favor of small business and the average working person. But your metaphor is, clean as a whistle. That's a good one. Mark, thanks a lot for the call, and thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Linda in Auburn, Washington, listening on 91.3 FM, one of our Pacifica affiliates there. Linda, what's up?
Hi. I just wanted to say that I'm a non-denominational Christian. I have a YouTube channel called Eco Peace Vision, and I want to encourage everyone to talk to their local cities to reduce methane by following what Amsterdam is doing with a clean garbage incineration facility, and there's a 4-minute YouTube video about it. So only water vapor. They keep reburning the fumes until only water vapor and obsidian-like solid material that they can use to work with building construction materials.
Yeah, this is pretty important stuff, and methane is a big deal. It's between 20 and 80 times more potent a greenhouse gas, whether you're looking at it over a 1-year horizon or a 10-year horizon. And it's the Trump administration just proposed rule changes that will reduce. Right now, if you run a natural gas, which is methane, a natural gas drilling operation, or you have natural gas pipelines or natural gas wells that have already been drilled and are simply operating, these typically leak a little bit of gas all the time, and some leak a lot more than others, and some drilling processes produce enormous amounts of methane. Others are better at it. And so, particularly during the Obama administration, they tightened up these regulations and said, no, you can't pour that much methane into the atmosphere. And it got a little more expensive for the natural gas industry because they had to have tighter seals and, better grommets or whatever they had to do. But the Trump administration is fixing to repeal that and allow much more methane into our atmosphere just from routine drilling and gas pumping operations. And it's so wrong. Well, Linda, spot on. Thank you very much. Maine in Chicago. Hey, Maine, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Tom? Yeah, I was just agreeing with you with the gentleman that raised those prices on those prescriptions. Being that I'm disabled and stuff, and I've been on prescription medication for quite a while, but that shows pure unadulterated, like I say, capitalism. He did that purely for profit. And that's what capitalism is for. They exploit people for profit, and this is exactly what he did.
I agree.
And we need someone. We need legislation. We need people in there who will put up legislation and issues that are more so for the people and not for the big corporations
I absolutely agree, Maine, and in fact, thank you for cueing a rant for me. If you've ever played Monopoly, when you play Monopoly, there are a couple of places where you can land where, you don't get rich, right? The railroads, the electric company, they're utilities. They only pay $100 a cycle, right? You don't get rich, but you do have a steady, reliable income. I believe that the pharmaceutical industry, we used to regulate railroads and electric utilities and say to them, you can't price gouge. You just can't do it. You can make an honest living, you can make a good living, but you can't price gouge because you are essential to the life of the community. Now, Reagan ended that, and what came out of that was Enron. And some states and some areas have essentially re-regulated their utilities, and about half of the utilities in America are actually owned by the people, the communities that they're in. But, we used to say there are certain kinds of businesses where you can make money. Banking used to be one of them, right? Safe and boring. And then, of course, in 1999, with Phil Gramm came along with Graham Leach Bliley and said, let's blow up Glass-Steagall. Let's make some money in banking. We need to make some billionaires. Banking and pharmaceuticals, like our utilities, are industries that, like in that monopoly game, hey, you get the $100, it's a regular, consistent income, but nobody is getting obscenely rich. If somebody wants to get obscenely rich, let them go compete with Bill Gates. Susan in Mountain Vista, Arkansas, or Mountain Vise, Arkansas. Am I saying that right, Susan? Watching us on Free Speech TV?
Oh, it's Mountain View, Tom.
Oh, Mountain View. I'm sorry.
I'm doing great. I love your show. I went into my pharmacy because I have to inject. I'm allergic to stuff, and I have to give myself shots. Mm-hmm. And my Part D that I pay for every month, my copay was $26. But if I just walked in the drugstore and not used my Part D, it was $10.
Right.
$10.
Right. It was cycling.
Explain that to me.
Well, this is what the Republicans did with Medicare, is what they try to do with everything, is create in any government program an opportunity for somebody in private industry to make a fortune. And so when they did Medicare Part D, not only did Billy Towson make sure that the government couldn't negotiate for lower prices, but they also created a situation where private for-profit companies become, these pharmacy managers. They become the middlemen between you and the drug companies, and I just had the one that insured me drop me because I'd moved from D.C. to Portland, and although I notified them of this 3 different times, they said, "Oh, we didn't know this, and that's it. You're gone."
Right.
And it turns out that some of my drugs, I only take a couple, and they're cheaper now. One of them is cheaper now than it was. But these companies are just in the business of making profit. That's all they care about, Susan. They don't care about whether you get decent drugs at low prices, and they don't have any consequential competition. And you can't sign up until November. Go ahead.
And they just plain lie to you, because when I signed up with this Part D, my copay was never supposed to be more than $3.50.
Yeah.
And it's never been that.
Oh, they do the equivalent of shrink wrap disclosures,
It's a scam.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. Brought to you by Billy Towson and the Republican Party. It's absolutely a scam. It's why the Republicans were behind Medicare Part D. They didn't care that people were getting their drugs. I mean, that was a bonus that might give them a few votes here and there. But really what they were trying to do was hand $600 billion over a 10-year period in extra profit, just in profit, to a small number of people in the pharmaceutical industry who would then cycle large amounts of campaign cash back into the Republican coffers. We'll be back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Free Speech TV needs you. This is a variation on the World War II poster. It's true. Free Speech TV literally does not exist without you. You watch it, you tell people about it, you spread the word, and thank you for doing that. We are getting a lot of people calling in and starting to watch Free Speech TV, saying, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went and found it on, fill in the blank, on Dish or on Direct or on Sling or on my Roku box or online at freespeech.org. And whoa, some great programming here. Well, if you're one of those people who have just joined, here's how it works. Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization. We are not funded by big, giant corporations. And as a result, we have to come to you, or Free Speech TV has to come to you. I'm speaking on their behalf. A couple of times a year and say, we need to pay the bills. Much like public television and NPR. And the many Pacifica stations that also carry my program. In that case, we provide our show for free to Pacifica, and our show is right here on Free Speech TV, and as well as on commercial stations. But the point is that these venues, these nonprofit venues, particularly Free Speech TV, only exist when you call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Any amount will help. $10, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And please don't break the bank. Just, whatever you're comfortable with really helps. And we really need to keep this network on the air. And if you have the means, you may even want to consider letting Free Speech TV know that you would offer a matching grant, a matching challenge. If we get any of those in, we'll be letting you know about it as the week goes on. But right now, we need your help. We have not hit our goal any day since we began. We're getting close occasionally, but we haven't cracked through that $10,000 a day goal that we have. So please call now. $30 gets you the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's a Vote 11618 sticker. You can run around and stick it on the bumper sticker of your Republican friends. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would be vandalism. And the Vote Free Speech TV button, which you can wear and kind of shows what your standards and values are. With a $72 gift, you get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is a great book. It's very readable. It's oversized. It's a little larger book. It's great to just leave on the coffee table. And it's illustrated, but it's solid stuff. With a $120 gift, or $10 a month, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit, which is the button and sticker, plus the Vote Free Speech Vote FSTV, the logo on dark gray, made in the USA T-shirt. They're really nice. With a $240, plus you get the bumper sticker and the button. With a $240 gift, you get or $20 a month, you get the Free Speech TV hoodie kit, which is the bumper sticker, the button, and the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie. With a $360 gift, or $30 a month, you get the Free Speech TV Vote Our Future Pack, and that is the T-shirt and the hoodie and the sticker and button, with a $480 gift, or $40 a month for a year, you get the all of the above package. And that is my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America, the Vote Free Speech TV logo T-shirt, the Vote Free Speech TV logo sweatshirt, hoodie, plus the button and the sticker. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland and I'll take you to lunch. I'll buy lunch for you. I so enjoy these. We've got one coming up Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of people will drop by and hang out here watching the show, and we'll walk to the restaurant next door. But the bottom line is, it's not about how much you can give. A lot of small gifts are just as important as a few large gifts. And we are very, very grateful for all the small gifts, the widow's tithe, to use the biblical metaphor. And as opposed to, or in addition to, we're also very, very grateful for the large gifts. You know, some people who have the ability, the means, the financial means to help out in a big way, do so, pretty much every pledge drive. And it is so useful and so important, particularly when they're given as matching grants, that we can use that money to encourage others, to strengthen their donations. So call now. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. 877-378-8669. You can call it, by the way, I believe year-round, and you can certainly make a contribution at Free Speech TV's website, freespeech.org. And that contribution, if you please do it during our show, and it becomes a brownie point for us. But the bottom line is, if you value my program and the other programming on Free Speech TV, please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. We talked in our first hour at some length about these new pharmaceutical companies, this Nostrum Pharmaceuticals, that just radically raised the price. Took the price of an antibiotic that's essential for urinary tract infections from $500 a bottle to $2,300 a bottle. And the guy just came right out and told the Financial Times, no, it didn't cost us anything more to make. Doesn't cost us anything more to package or ship. It's just profit for me. In fact, his exact quote was, I think it is a moral requirement to make money when you can, to sell the product for the highest price. Right. But I think that that's a scam, right? The bigger scam is the two Santa Claus theory. Oh, and speaking of props, before I get to that, we were talking, people were calling in and talking about their drugs and what they were costing. Sean handed me her albuterol, is it? Inhaler, which used to cost you $10, yeah. And now they're $150, and your insurance company pays for all but $70, $75. That's insane. I mean, again, a company that's doing it because they can. Can I mention you, sure? Shira, who's running our board today, uses an EpiPen. She got bit by a spider a couple of weeks ago and had to use up her EpiPen. And, now it's like the things are a damn fortune. So this is just, and that's, 2 out of the 4 of us here in this, or 5 of us here in this studio today. It's nuts, are victims of the drug companies. But anyway, I wanted to get to the two Santa Claus scam that Judah Wininski proposed in 1977 in the Wall Street Journal. He wrote an op-ed. Now this, keep in mind, you go back into the Wayback Machine. 1977, the Republican Party was in a crisis. 3 years earlier, Richard Nixon had resigned. In 1977, Jimmy Carter had just been inaugurated as President of the United States. He won the election of 76. Jerry Ford had pardoned Nixon, and Jerry Ford had ended the Vietnam War. And all of that looked really bad for Republicans, because Republicans were like gung-ho for Vietnam. And Jerry Ford said, no, that's it. We're retreating. We're giving up. And so the consensus in the Republican Party was that we're toast. We're dead for a generation. What do? We got wiped out with Goldwater in 1960. And then Nixon finally got in by committing treason in '68 by cutting a deal with the South Vietnamese to not do the peace talks. And the Republicans were like, we're screwed. What do we do? And Jude Wanniski came along and he said, I have the solution. I have the answer. And he wrote this. He published this in the Wall Street Journal. And he called it his two Santa Claus theory. And he said, what we have to recognize is that the Democratic Party has, since the era of Franklin Roosevelt, been the party of Santa Claus. They're the party that gives stuff away to people. They gave people Social Security. They gave people the right to unionize. They gave people the workplace protections. They gave people clean air and clean water. They gave people I mentioned Social Security. They gave people Medicare in the 60s. They gave people Medicaid. They gave people long-term unemployment insurance. And the Republican Party has been viewed as the party of Scrooge, because the Republican Party, to every single one of those things, has said no. The Republican Party fought Social Security. They called it socialism. They fought Medicare. They called it socialism. Ronald Reagan famously recorded a recording saying, someday, this was an anti-Medicare, the socialist Medicare program. And he said, someday we'll look back on a time when men were free. Right? Because it wasn't socialist. So June Wanniski says, Democrats have been viewed as Santa Claus. We have been viewed as Scrooge. We've got to change that. So how do we do that? First of all, the Republican Party has to become the party of Santa Claus itself. We got to find something that we can be Santa Claus about. And secondly, we've got to force the Democrats to shoot their own Santa Claus, to kill off their own Santa Claus, so that they can no longer claim to be part of the party of Santa Claus. So there's the Democratic Santa Claus and the Republican Santa Claus, thus the two Santa Claus theory. And the Republican Santa Claus should be tax cuts. We should become the party of tax cuts. And this works to our benefit because as we pass tax cuts, first of all, it'll make very wealthy people very happy with us and they'll give us more money. But secondly, it will run up the deficits, which is actually a good thing from the Republican point of view, because that means that when Democrats come into office, as they invariably will, these things go in cycles. When Democrats come into office, we yell and scream about the deficit and how it's going to destroy America and it's a debt on your grandchildren and all this kind of stuff. We do that to the point where the Democrats are going, oh, I guess we should cut Social Security and Medicare. You'll remember President Obama even said, well, maybe we should consider a chain CPI. And, a whole bunch of us said, whoa, wait a minute. It was a cut on Social Security. It was a way of slowing down the COLAs, the cost of living adjustments. It damn near worked. And the Republican Party, this was published in '77 when Reagan became president in 1980 after cutting a deal with the Iranians to hang on to the hostages so that Jimmy Carter would look bad. Ronald Reagan commits treason just like Nixon did, and he becomes president in 1981. And what's the first thing they do? Jude Wanniski all the way. Two Santa Clauses. We are the tax cut Santa Clauses. Largest tax cut in history. A series of them, actually. The top tax rate was 74%. The top corporate rate was nearly 50%. They cut the top tax rate and the capital gains rate down to 25%. And they cut the corporate tax rate. I don't remember the exact number, but they cut it substantially. And what did that do? When Reagan came into office, the national debt was $800 billion, not even $1 trillion. When Reagan left office, the national debt was over $2 trillion, almost $2.4 trillion. It just about tripled the national debt, which was exactly what they wanted. They added another $1 trillion into the national debt with George Herbert Walker Bush's presidency when he tried to raise taxes and then got hugely hurt for it and cut taxes. And so coming into the Bill Clinton presidency, as soon as Bill Clinton becomes president, we now have a national debt of almost $3 trillion. Oh, my God, it's going to be a disaster. Bill Clinton has to cut Social Security. He has to cut Medicare. And most importantly, he has to end welfare as we know it, which Bill Clinton did. The Democrats cut welfare programs. They slowed down the growth of Social Security. They did not raise they did not eliminate the cap. All things that Bill Clinton had campaigned on doing the opposite of. He was going to expand Social Security and Medicare. He was going to strengthen the welfare program so that we actually had a decent social safety net in this country like they do in Canada or like they do in Europe. So that people don't live in fear. They're not, waking up in the middle of every night wondering if they're going to lose their homes because somebody in their family got sick. Bill Clinton was going to fix that. And instead, no, went the other way. he shot Santa Claus, exactly as Wininski predicted would happen. Because it wasn't just the Republicans, it was the media as well. And now Trump is taking this to virtually an art form. Trump has raised this beyond that. Trump is saying, lying through his teeth, of course. Keep in mind, Paul Ryan has already said he wants to cut Medicare and Social Security. It's called entitlement reform, is the phrase that they use. And Bernie Sanders just came out with this amazing video. And in it, he quotes Trump from his Montana speech. Here's Donald Trump in Montana. Got to turn it up, sure. Way up. I can't hear it. Let's start this all over again. Can you? It's got to go a lot higher than that. Maybe Nate, you can crank your volume. It's up. Okay. Well, I'll just tell you. I'll just read it to you. Last night, Donald Trump says the Democratic Party is going to hurt your Social Security so badly, and they're killing you on Medicare. Just remember that. I'm going to protect your Social Security. We're going to take care of your Social Security. We're going to take care of your Social Security. Matt Rosendale, this is the Republican candidate in Montana for the House of Representatives, is going to make sure that we're not touching your Social Security and your Medicaid. It's only going one way, and that's stronger. We're going to end up there. The Democrats are going to end up taking it away from you, and you won't even know what happened. And then on Wednesday, he said, the Democrats will destroy Social Security. We're saving Medicare. The Democrats want to destroy Social Security, Medicare. If you look at what they're doing, they want to destroy Medicare, and we will save it. And by the way, there are now a number of Republican candidates who are running deceptive ads, these lying ads. Rod Bloom in Iowa, Bruce Poliquin in Maine, Claudia Tenney in New York. These are all Republicans who are running ads saying that the Democrats want to destroy Medicare as we know it by going to Medicare for All. Medicare for All system. Well, I wouldn't destroy Medicare. It would expand it. It wouldn't be the same. That's true. It would be much better. But they're just lying through their teeth about this. And Paul Ryan and the Republicans, I mean, frankly, in the last Republican budget, you had these massive cuts. The White House unveiled its 2019 budget, right? It called for $1.7 trillion in cuts to social safety net programs, including a $230. Now, this is Donald Trump and the Republican Party just rolled out their budget for this year, for the coming, the year that starts October 1st, 2019 fiscal year, that includes a $237 billion cut to Medicare. It's amazing how these guys, how Donald Trump can just lie through his teeth, and the press plays it and doesn't push back and doesn't say, oh, no. It's Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell who want to cut Medicare and Social Security. It's the Republican Party who wants to do it. This is Jude Wininski's two Santa Claus theory on steroids. In fact, Trump has taken it to a place where even Wininski he never suggested Republicans lie about it, just that they game the system and force Democrats to do something. This is incredible.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And we all need to wake up to it, and we all need to tell our friends about what's going on and the just gross, crass, blatant lies coming out of the GOP. And welcome back. Let's see here. Tarek in Griffin, California. Hey, Tarek, what's on your mind? Thanks for watching us on YouTube.
Actually, hey, Thom Hartmann. It's actually Griffin, Georgia.
Oh, Griffin, Georgia. Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm calling to get your advice. Recently, D.L. Hughley, who you may know, has been criticizing the black church, and recently, a syndicated radio host, Ricky Smiley. Do you know him?
No, I don't. I know of D.L. Hughley. I don't know either of these guys personally, and the second one I've never even heard of.
Well, Ricky Smiley, he's very well known in Atlanta and Georgia, and he recently said, quote, on Vlad TV, which is a popular YouTube channel, he told Vlad, quote, I'm really questioning some of the Bible stories, and I think some of that stuff in the Bible is set up to train black people to be submissive to systematic racism and white supremacy. He said that I believe. And I'm wondering, do you think that there is some sort of spiritual or awakening, some type of revolutionary thing happening in the black community? Because historically, African Americans have been kind of conservative and very loyal to the church. And so, do you think that there's something happening in the black community, given the historical backdrop of African Americans in America?
I do, and it seems to me, I mean, just looking at it from the outside in, that William Reverend Barber is leading the charge in that regard, although he's one of many. And there is a revival among the black evangelical movement, and I realize it takes many forms to go back to core principles, because the Bible was used by slaveholders and owners as a way, as a tool to keep people down. You know, slavery is spoken of well in the Bible. Jesus never talked about it, but Paul, said, slave owners, be nice to your slaves, and slaves, be obedient to your masters. I mean, that that was quoted over and over again. Back to you. I'm sorry.
And do you think, because I'm a secularist, I'm a humanist, and I see this as a positive thing, because I think once the black community question its past and question how we receive Christianity, and once we become more secular and, value each other just by the fact that we're all human, because science says that, we all have the same mitochondrial DNA from, the same, skeleton that they found. And
right.
So I think that, the black community is starting. Do you think that the black community is starting to become more secular? Because I think the black community has, been behind when it comes to, religion. Like, the black community has been consistently conservative, but it's growing out of that. And
Tarek, I not being black, I don't know, and I would not ever deign to speak for the black community, if there is even such a thing that monolithic. But I can tell you that 50, 60 years ago, when some really good research came out indicating that the Celts and the Druids, the early Brits, were animists. They practiced nature religions. Suddenly, a whole bunch of white people started practicing nature religions. It became a big thing. And I'm waiting for the nature religions that were extant in Africa to start taking hold among the black community in the United States, because the nature religions are the ones that will save us. They are the ones who respect nature. And as opposed to, the hierarchical, monolithic, monotheistic religions that don't respect nature. Tarek, thanks for the call. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Charlie in Minnesota. Hey, Charlie, what's on your mind? Charlie? Oh, my. Charlie's on line too, Louise, if you want. Oop, Charlie just dropped. Dawn in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Dawn, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom. Going back to the pharmaceutical discussion, my husband and I do not have pharmaceutical insurance or prescription coverage, and I use GoodRx. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's been a lifesaver for us. Basically, I go out and I put
Dawn just vanished. That's Dan in Chicago. Hey, Dan, thanks for listening to WCPT. What's up?
Yes, Tom.
Hey.
Hi, Tom. I just finished a 2-year course of a Tier 6 specialty drug. When I first started, it supposedly cost you $600 a month if you had to pay for it on your own. I just, when I finished, it was $3,241 charged to the insurance companies.
Amazing.
So because that was out of reach to the average patient, the doctors couldn't get anybody to agree to take it. So the drug companies offered a copay card that was preloaded annually was $9,000.
Right.
So that would cover your deductible.
Is this a drug that people would take over long periods of time? Is this their way of basically getting people hooked on their drug?
No, you can only take it for 2 years.
I see.
So the first year, the copay card paid for my deductible,
right,
and I never paid for a pen.
Right.
The second year, the drug companies decided no longer to allow the copay card to count towards your deductible. So they accepted it to pay for the pen, but they wouldn't count it towards your deductible.
Right.
So if you didn't do something, you would get your first 3 pens, and then you'd be stuck with your deductible.
Right.
So the insurance company got the $9,000 from the copay card, and then they got the patient to pay their deductible.
Amazing.
Now, I figured out a way around that, which maybe I won't go into on the air, but there was a little trick that I did, and this became my...
But see, we shouldn't have to do little tricks, Dan. We should not have to do little tricks. And that,
exactly.
I mean, your story, Shira's story, Sean's story, Louise's story. I mean, literally 3 out of the 5 people in this studio right now have in the last 2 weeks had these kinds of problems with the pharmaceutical industry. This is insane. This has got to be one of the most common stories in America. James in Lakewood, Washington, listening on our Pacifica affiliate there, KBCS. Hey, James, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Robin Adamson out of the Salt Lake City Air Protectors is going up against the investor class with the city of Salt Lake City for an inland port, and it smells a lot like Foxconn. And I told her about Wisconsin, and I told her to look into China as to the similarities and if she can, the investors in that.
Yeah.
And also, I've had intestinal tract infection with the entangled intestine, and it is not any fun. It is very serious.
Oh, it can kill you. James, thanks for the heads up on that. I appreciate it. David in Los Angeles. Hey, David, what's up?
Well, hi, Tom. It's been a little while since I've spoken with you. And I've just been totally busy working and trying to keep my head above water. But your topics...
David, we just have a minute.
On.
Let's get right to it, okay?
Okay. The bottom line to it all is I'm curious as to what your take is on the social memory of people, being that, me and you're about the same age. And I remember when the Congress in the dead of night was arm twisting and whatnot under the Bush administration to get all of these donut holes legislation passed. I remember that.
Yep.
Right? I remember Reagan and Clinton fighting with his compassion with so-called welfare reform and all these sort of things. And I mean, it's like, how is it for those who see reality and see how things are put in place and still...
Still what? I'm sorry? I didn't catch the rest of your sentence. And still what?
How these things are manifested and how they're detrimentally affecting us.
Yeah. No, these are the topics that we need to be having conversations about, David, and it's why I'm bringing it up on this program, and I'm hoping to shame the corporate media into doing the same. David, thanks for the call.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
I seriously doubt, however, you will ever see a serious or meaningful conversation about this topic on network television that is taking hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising money from the drug companies. Free Speech TV needs you. This is a variation on the World War II poster. It's true. Free Speech TV literally does not exist without you. You watch it, you tell people about it, you spread the word, and thank you for doing that. We are getting a lot of people calling in and starting to watch Free Speech TV saying, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went and found it on, fill in the blank, on Dish or on Direct or on Sling or on my Roku box or online at freespeech.org. And whoa, some great programming here. Well, if you're one of those people who have just joined, here's how it works. Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization. We are not funded by big, giant corporations. And as a result, we have to come to you, or Free Speech TV has to come to you. I'm speaking on their behalf. A couple of times a year and say, we need to pay the bills. Much like public television and NPR. And the many Pacifica stations that also carry my program. In that case, we provide our show for free to Pacifica, and our show is right here on Free Speech TV, and as well as on commercial stations. But the point is that these venues, these nonprofit venues, particularly Free Speech TV, only exist when you call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Any amount will help. $10, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And please don't break the bank. Just, whatever you're comfortable with really helps. And we really need to keep this network on the air. And if you have the means, you may even want to consider letting Free Speech TV know that you would offer a matching grant, a matching challenge. If we get any of those in, we'll be letting you know about it as the week goes on. But right now, we need your help. We have not hit our goal any day since we began. We're getting close occasionally, but we haven't cracked through that $10,000 a day goal that we have. So please call now. $30 gets you the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's a Vote 11618 sticker. You can run around and stick it on the bumper sticker of your Republican friends. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would be vandalism. And the Vote Free Speech TV button, which you can wear and kind of shows what your standards and values are. With a $72 gift, you get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is a great book. It's very readable. It's oversized. It's a little larger book. It's great to just leave on the coffee table. And it's illustrated, but it's solid stuff. With a $120 gift, or $10 a month, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit, which is the button and sticker, plus the Vote Free Speech Vote FSTV, the logo on dark gray, made in the USA T-shirt. They're really nice. With a $240, plus you get the bumper sticker and the button. With a $240 gift, you get or $20 a month, you get the Free Speech TV hoodie kit, which is the bumper sticker, the button, and the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie. With a $360 gift, or $30 a month, you get the Free Speech TV Vote Our Future pack, and that is the T-shirt and the hoodie and the sticker and the button. With a $480 gift, or $40 a month for a year, you get the All of the Above package, and that is my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America, the Vote Free Speech TV logo, T-shirt, the Vote Free Speech TV logo sweatshirt, hoodie, plus the button and the sticker. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland and I'll take you to lunch. I'll buy lunch for you. I so enjoy these. We've got one coming up Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of people will drop by and hang out here watching the show, and we'll walk to the restaurant next door. But the bottom line is, it's not about how much you can give. A lot of small gifts are just as important as a few large gifts. And we are very, very grateful for all the small gifts, the widow's tithe, to use the biblical metaphor. And as opposed to, or in addition to, we're also very, very grateful for the large gifts. Some people who have the ability, the means, the financial means to help out in a big way, do so. Pretty much every pledge drive. And it is so useful and so important, particularly when they're given as matching grants, that we can use that money to encourage others, to strengthen their donations. So call now. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. 877-378-8669. You can call it, by the way, I believe, year-round, and you can certainly make a contribution at Free Speech TV's website, freespeech.org. And that contribution, if you please do it during our show, and it becomes a brownie point for us. But the bottom line is, if you value my program and the other programming on Free Speech TV, please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime luxury Alaskan cruise on the Regent 7th Sea Mariner, July 24th, 2019. For more information, Keen Luxury Travel, 800-856-1155. And did I mention, we'll be getting active on board with special events with yours truly me as we visit Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, Sitka, Hubbard Glacier, and Anchorage. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Jordan in Frankfort, Kentucky. Hey, Jordan. Thanks for listening to iHeartRadio. What's up?
Not a problem. How are you doing, Tom?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I heard you I just tuned in about 10 minutes ago to today's show, and I heard you make a statement that you and I think some of the people in the office there with you have been victims of the drug companies. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I just take issue with that. I mean, if you want to make an issue about how much drug companies are making, or, sort of a Martin Scarelli type deal of price gouging, that's one thing. But claiming to be victims of the drug companies is basically making the claim that drug companies are obligated to provide the goods and services they do at a certain price. And I don't
That's right.
Like
that's exactly the point I'm making, Jordan.
Then you don't. So in your reality, drug companies have an obligation, one, to be in existence, and two, to provide their good or service at a specific price that comports with your, with your estimation.
You didn't hear the setup for it. Let me go back and see if maybe we can come to a common ground on this, Jordan. You ever played Monopoly?
Of course.
Okay, in Monopoly, you can make big money with, high-end real estate, but if you hit a utility, what happens?
You got to pay.
No, you hit a utility and you get paid, but you get paid $100 a cycle, right? Instead of $2,400 from Marvin Gardens. So it's boring, consistent, regular income. If you own the utility or if you own a bank, in Monopoly, you're going to make money. You're going to make a profit. Right? It's a legitimate, serious business, but it is regulated in a way because they are essential to the well-being of the community and of the individuals in that community. They are regulated in ways that cause them to not be Wild West profit opportunities, the way that the other things in Monopoly are. There are three buckets here, and we usually think only in terms of two buckets. The two buckets that we usually think of are the so-called free market and the so-called public spaces, right? You've got fire departments. I'm assuming you don't want your fire department to be run on a for-profit basis like they were in Chicago before the Chicago fire.
Sure, I'm good with fire departments being run by the government, yes.
Right, okay. And so there's no profit motive in the fire department, whereas there used to be, and they'd drive by your house and let it burn down if you didn't, pay them in advance and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, okay, sure. So we're on track with the common public area. Then in the private area, people making computers, people making blue jeans, people making things where there's basically no regulation of the product, and therefore anybody can come into that marketplace and compete, right? I could start a blue jeans company tomorrow with probably $10,000 or $20,000. Michael Dell used to hang out on forums that I ran. I ran the PC forum on CompuServe back in the 80s. Michael Dell used to hang out there and sell his computers online, right? So, I don't want the government making computers. I don't even want the government heavily regulating computers. There's no reason for it. Competition works. Are we in agreement on that?
So far, yes, but I think we're about to diverge.
Yeah, and that's this third category. And the third category is the middle area where we still think that private enterprise and the profit motive are useful in advancing new inventions and new products. And in fact, you can read it in the Constitution. I mean, the founders thought, okay, there are certain things that subsidies essentially, where the government is going to provide a subsidy to individual companies. And this is from Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. In other words, patents and copyrights. So here's an area where the government is specifically giving these drug companies, in the case of patented drugs, specifically giving them essentially a monopoly protection. In fact, in the era of Jefferson, he used to refer to these as monopolies. He was opposed to that even being in the Constitution because he didn't think that the government should be doing that. So we've got this third area where the cost of entry into the marketplace is very, very high. It's very difficult to get into the marketplace because the government has put a ring fence around you, has offered your company a protection to keep competitors out. And it affects the public welfare, right? I don't think that the trademark on Mickey Mouse really has a consequential effect on my life. And, you can say it's the useful arts and sciences, but it doesn't really have an impact on my life. But the trademark on the pharmaceuticals that I'm taking does. And so in that realm of pharmaceuticals, and I would add to that, by the way, hospitals. When I was growing up, I left Michigan in 1978, and I believe all these changes happened after I left because we had a factory, we had 18 employees in Michigan, and I paid for the health insurance for every single one of them. And Blue Cross Blue Shield cost me $35 per person per month. Every hospital in Lansing, Sparrow, St. John's, or St. Luke's, I guess it was, and Ingham County. All three hospitals, they were owned by the Catholic Church or a nonprofit organization. Sparrow, the Catholic Church was the St. What's-It, and the county owned one of the hospitals. You had to be, by law, a nonprofit corporation in Michigan to run a hospital until the 80s. And you had to be a nonprofit corporation to run a health insurance company. Blue Cross Blue Shield was nonprofit. So I'm saying that we need to go back to that kind of thinking and say that in these areas, and I'm not saying the pharmaceutical companies have to be nonprofit, but if they're going to get patent protection, if they're going to get FDA oversight, if they're going to get the exclusive ability to sell their drugs into the marketplace on a prescription, then they should be regulated to say, you guys, no problem if you want to make money. No problem if you want to pay your CEO $1 million a year and your senior executives $250,000 a year. No problem. Pay your stockholders a reasonable dividend. But when you start jacking the cost of drugs that cost you $20 and $30 a tablet to make, and you're selling for $500 a tablet, and you jack that up to $2,600 a tablet, which is what this guy bragged about doing in the Financial Times yesterday, just so that he could make a personal profit. That was the only reason. And he says this is a noble thing. Ayn Rand told us this. When you do that, you have stepped out of the boundaries, out of the bounds of acceptable commercial activity, in my opinion. Your turn, Jordan.
Well, I mean, maybe so, maybe not, because one thing these companies have to do in order to make that profit, a certain tablet or what have you may only take $20 or $30 or 20 or 30 cents a piece to make, but we don't see all the R&D that had to go into harvesting that drug.
The drug I'm talking about was developed in the 1920s. It's been off patent since the 1950s.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't read the article, and I didn't hear you talking about it earlier, so I don't know about that specifically.
It's the same thing with the EpiPens. Heather Bresch, if that was her name, as I recall, Joe Manchin's daughter, who is the CEO of the company that makes the EpiPens. And they took the price. The EpiPens have a drug in them that was invented in the late 1800s. In the 1890s, they developed epinephrine or penephrine or however you say that drug. This has been out of patent. I don't think it was ever in patent. And so you've got a thing that is essential to the life of children. One of my kids, got a bee sting and went into anaphylactic shock. She had to carry an EpiPen for the rest of her life. And back then, we were buying these EpiPens for $5 and $10 a piece, as I recall. They were cheap. And now they're $600 a piece. Why? Because they can get it. How is that a good thing for anybody other than Heather Bresch?
Well, it seems that your issue that you're speaking to now is how long are we going to allow patents, the duration of patents to go? I think that's
just a piece. Now. But see, there's no patent in there. This drug is not patented.
Well, what is preventing, in that case, then other companies from coming in and do it? There's got to be
the
some
way
sort
the
of
marketplace is
intellectual
constructed. The pharmaceutical marketplace is constructed in a way that promotes monopoly. You've got these pharmacy managers who are between the drug companies and the pharmacies, and they're between the drug companies and the hospitals. And all the drugs go through these pharmacy managers, and they decide which companies have entry into the marketplace and which ones don't. And so it's plus you've got, FDA regulation, plus you've got the cost of compliance with all those regulations. Making drugs is a real high-end thing. You've got to, it's got to be high-quality stuff. And by the way, I would add, most of the drugs that we consume in the United States are manufactured in India or China. But, setting that aside, and imported for pennies and sold to us for lots and lots of dollars. But the bottom line is that if we're talking about something that impacts not just the quality of my life and your life, Jordan, but literally our ability to survive. If you've got that person should not, the company running that company should not have the ability to do this. Rex Trekking just tweeted to me, Tom, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield Personal Choice through work. I take one pill a night. I pay $60 a month for 30 pills. Without insurance, those same 30 pills are $3,200. So without this insurance from my employer, I die. So I am literally tied to my job. I only make $36,000 a year. And if I didn't have the insurance, the medication I take would cost me more than what I earned. How is that right in the United States of America, Jordan?
With all due respect to him, if I don't keep my job, I die.
How is that right? How is that right? We're the only developed country in the world where if you lose your health insurance, you can die or go bankrupt. Literally the only one. 600,000 people a year in America go bankrupt because they got sick. In Canada, you know how many people go bankrupt because they got sick? Zero.
And how many new drugs like this are developed in Canada every year versus the United States?
I have not once talked about a new drug, Jordan, in any of this context, number one. And number two, look up who pays for the new drugs. The majority, and I'm talking well over half the cost of new drugs, is paid for by you and me with our tax dollars through the National Institutes of Health that fund research at universities, who then essentially give these drugs to pharmaceutical companies. Jordan, thank you for the call.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's past the hour. We're going to check in with Talk Media News right after this break. We'll be back in 4 minutes with them. Stick around. I just lost my audio. And welcome back. Linda, watching Free Speech TV we got to get our gain levels up here. Linda, watching Free Speech TV in Coconut Creek, Florida. Hey, Linda, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom.
Hey.
I missed you yesterday because, like I was telling, I guess, Louise, we don't get you the first hour on the East Coast anymore. We don't know why on Sirius XM, but I guess that's just their choice. I'm going to ramp up more of my donation to other places to you.
Thank you.
That's
so what's up?
What I wanted to, they're running some already very vicious ads against the Democrat. That's
Bill Nelson.
What's it? Yeah, Bill Nelson. I mean, these things are very vicious, and we know that a part of Florida was gerrymandered. And is there any way that next time you talk to Greg Palast, are they keeping an eye on Florida? Because I truly believe, this is just me, my husband believes it too, we think it's going to go Republican. We don't think I just don't see Nelson keeping his seat, and I see Rick Scott, taking that, and I just don't see they're going to throw everything at the wall as far as for this Andrew. And I'm going to vote for him. I'm a Democrat. I love his politics. I love that he's progressive. But I'm sorry, it's not going to happen in Florida, and I think it's going to be because they steal it.
I think if they do win, it'll be because they stole it, like in 2000, where Jeb Bush had to knock 90,000 African Americans off the voting rolls in order to get the vote close enough that his brother could take it to the Supreme Court. I don't know the situation in detail in Florida. I do know that Greg Palast has been trying to get the Florida cross-check lists. I don't know if he has succeeded or not. He's going to be on the program either later this week or early next week to be keeping us up to date on these things. But and on top of this, you've got the guy who stole so much money from Medicare that when they discovered the fraud, they fined his company $1.6 billion Largest fine for Medicare fraud, the largest Medicare fraud in the history of the United States. That was Rick Scott, the company that he owned, and he was the CEO of, that committed this fraud. And now that same Rick Scott is running ads in the Florida market saying that he's going to protect Medicare and that the Democrats want to harm Medicare with Medicare for all proposals.
Guess what else he did you didn't know about?
What's that?
Remember when he turned down that $8 billion for that speed rail in South Florida?
Right.
He gave it to Detroit. He gave that money to Detroit. Now he owns part of that speed rail. Okay, and he wants it built with his money and all his, what do you call that, stockholders. They want to control that speed rail.
You're talking high-speed rail in Detroit?
No, in Florida.
In Florida.
Wow. Yeah, it's called the Bright Star, and he's got all this money invested into it with all these, all his other rich buddies, so that they can control the lines, they can control the money, they can control where it's going to go. You don't find that a little strange?
I find it extremely corrupt.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're accurately characterizing it. Yeah, if you're accurately characterizing it, that sounds to me like, well, I mean, again, the guy supervised or was the CEO of the company that engaged in the largest Medicare fraud in the history of the United States. And it shouldn't surprise us that he's a grifter. Rick Scott is just absolutely a grifter, right? In the mold of Donald Trump. Linda, thank you for the call. I wish you the best in Florida there, and I hope that you can get all your friends to turn out to vote. We're going to check in with Ellen Ratner with Talk Media News in just a moment. It's coming up on 10 minutes before the hour. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would there we go. Let's check in with Ellen Ratner with Talk Media News and find out what's going on in the world today. Ellen, this report, by the way, brought to you by goatsfortheoldgoat.com and Ellen Ratner's new book, Loving What You Do. Ellen, welcome back.
Well, thank you so much. Listen, let me tell you something. The president just gave an order that basically says he's going to sanction any country that has interfered with the elections. Hello. And believe it or not, the White House is now saying this has nothing to do with anything in the past. This is just totally new. Give me a break.
Well, that could be their way of saying we're going to prosecute things going forward, but we're not going to prosecute people. We're not going to prosecute any country that messed with our elections in 2016 since I'm president.
Well, that's true. We're not sure what it means. And, of course, we would have to ask Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But it's, we'll see what she says if she says anything this afternoon.
Yeah.
Also, the United Nations called it a humanitarian nightmare. This is the province Idlib in Syria. They say that there's starvation, there's lack of medical care, all this kind of thing that is going on right now. So that is happening as we speak. Also, it looks, even though it's not much money, it's under $10,000, it's $9,755,000, was taken from the FEMA budget, and it was taken to put people in prison for longer periods of time, particularly kids in prison. And now, of course, the FEMA budget was supposed to help with any kind of hurricane. Right. And it's not much money. Again, it's under $10,000.
No, $10 million.
Still.
$10 million. It's under 10
Is
million.
it 10 million?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm reading the numbers wrong.
Yeah, it's under $10 million. But you're right. And FEMA's saying, well, this didn't come out directly out of our disaster budget. It just came out of our general budget. Right. But apparently
their budget is supposed to be to help us with disaster.
That's right. And apparently the amount of money that's going into these private for-profit corporations that are building prisons now for children, for immigrant children, is over $100 million. FEMA is just one of the many agencies that they're stealing money from.
Right. Well, pardon my dyslexia for getting the numbers wrong. Okay. So there was a primary in New Hampshire yesterday, and Sununu's son, of course, is probably going to be governor. He's going against a woman Democrat. Also, we know Bernie Sanders' son did not do well in his congressional bid. However, a guy by the name of Chris Pappas might be the first openly gay member of Congress from New Hampshire.
Cool.
Now, New York was supposed to have its primary, but of course, because of the Rosh Hashanah Jewish holiday, it put it off till tomorrow, and Rhode Island is today.
Interesting. Now, tomorrow in New York, this is the Cynthia Nixon, Andrew Cuomo thing, right? Not Andrew. What's
right? It's and also
is it Andrew?
In terms of the Attorney General, we have the woman who wrote that book about corruption. And
Zephyr Teachout, yeah.
That's right. And so she is going up against an openly gay guy. It's going to be a very interesting primary, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I vote New York.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Good.
Okay. The EPA is going after vaping companies for minor sales. They say that they are making the vapes in a way that they're tasty, and they're going after 1,300 retailers on that.
This is by minor
so
sales. You mean sales to minors, but the vaping industry trying to nicotine is 5 times more addictive than heroin, and that substance is being promoted to children, is what they're saying.
That's exactly what they're saying, and they said they're going to go after 1,300 retailers.
Wow.
Couldn't be too soon in my view.
Yep.
I used to work in addictions. Okay. The New York Times defended its actions on its op-ed. They said that they had promised the person that they would remain confidential, who gave them the op-ed. They know who it is, and it's within their First Amendment rights.
All true.
So
what's Trump trying to do about it? I know you wanted the FBI to investigate,
Trump
but
wants to find out who did it.
Yeah, but what is there? I mean, whoever said it didn't commit a crime. I mean, you could argue that they're committing a crime against democracy by staging a coup, but I don't think there's a crime there.
No crime at all so far. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the Vatican decided to hold a conference on sexual abuse, but they're not holding it till February, if you can believe it. I don't know why they just can't do it right away.
I would think that they would want to get this over with and behind them.
Right.
You would think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the mayor of L.A., who is, by the way, running for president, we think. I mean, he hasn't declared, but we think.
Are you talking Garcetti? No, who's?
I'm talking about Garcetti.
Yeah, okay.
That's exactly correct.
Couldn't remember if he was still mayor.
He is Jewish and Mexican, and he spoke in Cleveland, Ohio yesterday.
Oh, interesting. Well, Gil Garcetti has a good reputation. I mean, it's broadly speaking, although the LA Police Department doesn't, has a few problems, but we'll see where this goes.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting. He's clearly speaking in Jewish communities where he can get some traction.
Good.
Okay.
We need more good, strong Democrats.
It's very interesting, but as you know, that Donald Trump has these rallies. He talks about the economy being the best ever. Well, that's just not true. Unemployment rate being the best ever, not true. The Washington Times has gone through each of his discussions, rated some as true and some as not true. But a lot of what they rated, they said something like over 60% is not true.
Wow. Yeah, the liar in chief. It's breathtaking. Ellen Ratner with Talk Media News, brought to you by goatsfortheoldgoat.com and Ellen's new book, Loving What You Do. Ellen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's always great hearing your voice. I love talking with you. We'll be back. Jeff Berkeley is going to be with us in a little bit. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Free Speech TV needs you. This is a variation on the World War II poster. It's true. Free Speech TV literally does not exist without you. You watch it, you tell people about it, you spread the word, and thank you for doing that. We are getting a lot of people calling in and starting to watch Free Speech TV, saying, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went and found it on, fill in the blank, on Dish or on Direct or on Sling or on my Roku box or online at freespeech.org. And whoa, some great programming here. Well, if you're one of those people who have just joined, here's how it works. Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization. We are not funded by big, giant corporations. And as a result, we have to come to you, or Free Speech TV has to come to you. I'm speaking on their behalf. A couple of times a year and say, we need to pay the bills. Much like public television and NPR. And the many Pacifica stations that also carry my program. In that case, we provide our show for free to Pacifica, and our show is right here on Free Speech TV, and as well as on commercial stations. But the point is that these venues, these nonprofit venues, particularly Free Speech TV, only exist when you call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Any amount will help. $10, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And please don't break the bank. Just, whatever you're comfortable with really helps. And we really need to keep this network on the air. And if you have the means, you may even want to consider letting Free Speech TV know that you would offer a matching grant, a matching challenge. If we get any of those in, we'll be letting you know about it as the week goes on. But right now, we need your help. We have not hit our goal any day since we began. We're getting close occasionally, but we haven't cracked through that $10,000 a day goal that we have. So please call now. $30 gets you the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's a Vote 11-6-18 sticker. You can run around and stick it on the bumper sticker of your Republican friends. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would be vandalism. And the Vote Free Speech TV button, which you can wear and kind of shows what your standards and values are. With a $72 gift, you get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is a great book. It's very readable. It's oversized. It's a little larger book. It's great to just leave on the coffee table. And it's illustrated, but it's solid stuff. With a $120 gift, or $10 a month, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit, which is the button and sticker, plus the Vote Free Speech Vote FSTV, the logo on dark gray, made in the USA T-shirt. They're really nice. With a $240, plus you get the bumper sticker and the button. With a $240 gift, you get or $20 a month, you get the Free Speech TV hoodie kit, which is the bumper sticker, the button, and the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie. With a $360 gift, or $30 a month, you get the Free Speech TV Vote Our Future Pack, and that is the T-shirt and the hoodie and the sticker and the button, with a $480 gift, or $40 a month for a year, you get the all of the above package. And that is my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America, the Vote Free Speech TV logo T-shirt, the Vote Free Speech TV logo sweatshirt, hoodie, plus the button and the sticker. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland and I'll take you to lunch. I'll buy lunch for you. I so enjoy these. We've got one coming up Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of people will drop by and hang out here watching the show, and we'll walk to the restaurant next door. But the bottom line is, it's not about how much you can give. A lot of small gifts are just as important as a few large gifts. And we are very, very grateful for all the small gifts, the widow's tithe, to use the biblical metaphor. And as opposed to, or in addition to, we're also very, very grateful for the large gifts. You know, some people who have the ability, the means, the financial means to help out in a big way, do so, pretty much every pledge drive. And it is so useful and so important, particularly when they're given as matching grants, that we can use that money to encourage others, to strengthen their donations. So call now. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. 877-378-8669. You can call it, by the way, I believe year-round, and you can certainly make a contribution at Free Speech TV's website, freespeech.org. And that contribution, if you please do it during our show, and it becomes a brownie point for us. But the bottom line is, if you value my program and the other programming on Free Speech TV, please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We've been talking about how how a predatory industry, essentially, what has become a predatory industry, the pharmaceutical industry, that was largely regulated during most of my lifetime, and probably some of yours, depending on how old you are. In the rush to deregulation back during the Reagan era, and then particularly in the late 90s, we saw the drug companies basically turn into predators and turn on us. Ted Lieu just tweeted that he has proposed a way to stop. I was talking about Billy Towson in the last hour, the guy who shepherded Medicare Part D through Congress and got a special dispensation from, as I recall, Denny Hastert, to leave the House of Representatives and go to work at $2 million a year as the head of PhRMA, the pharmaceutical lobbying firm, after he supervised legislation that's made it illegal for anybody in the federal government to try to negotiate discount prices with drug companies. Medicare must pay the full price. It's a $600 billion a decade subsidy to the pharmaceutical industry. We've got people becoming billionaires as a result of the pharmaceutical industry. An industry that should be accountable at some level to all of us. As Ted Lieu says, I just introduced the E. Scott Pruitt Accountability for Government Officials Act because it's important to memorialize his legacy of corruption and that of Trump cabinet officials. It's also a pretty good anti-corruption bill. Good on you. But the corruption in the Trump administration is now being married with the vicious, racially based hatred being sold by the Trump administration and being purchased by young white people all across the country who are doing the OK sign, the white power sign, along with Roger Stone, right here in Portland just a couple days ago, as a way of just kind of broadcasting it after that young woman, Miss what's her name, was doing so, Miss Bash was doing so behind Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, she was with him, and she was doing the white power symbol 2 days in a row. This policy of tearing brown children away from their parents. This is not happening. This is not happening to the occasional European family who shows up without the proper visa, or somebody does something out of line while they're here with their kids. No, we don't do this with white people. We're doing this with Hispanics. We're doing this with, quote, brown people. 100%. And Trump is slow walking this and trying to keep the roughly 500 children, one of them in Chicago, more than a year now, a 5-year-old, for more than a year, he's been separated from his family. Can you imagine the damage, the trauma? Large numbers of these kids now are on psychotropic drugs to deal with the trauma and the pain of being ripped away from their parents and put in prisons. And a number of them have started harming themselves, and a couple have tried to commit suicide. One actually died. And Trump, instead of reuniting these children, is saying, let's take $100 million out of a bunch of federal agencies, 10 million of it out of FEMA, just in time for the hurricane. We're going to take $10 million out of FEMA, and we're going to pass that money over to the for-profit corporations that give money to the Republican Party and build private prisons. Isn't that great? We have kids who have attempted suicide. We have kids who have told judges when brought in for hearings that they want to die. We have multiple shelters now that have been accused of having employees sexually abusing these children. You have a judge who ordered the federal government to stop giving psychoactive drugs to these children without parental consent. But hey, you got 500 kids where the federal government is saying their parents have given them up. They signed a paper in English, and they didn't read English. They didn't understand what the paper said, but hey, they signed the paper. We've got their kids. And we're going to put them in foster homes or something, or we'll put them in jail. It's more profitable. It's only $800-900 a day that we're paying these private prison companies to quote, care for our children. Are these not our children? Are we not part of the world? Are we not part of the human race? Well, Stephen Miller would tell you that we're not. Donald Trump would tell you that we're not. And I think that reveals the fundamental evil, the fundamental sickness, the fundamental rot at the core of these men's souls, and certainly at the core of their policies. I mean, I remember when Adam Walsh was kidnapped and murdered. One white kid. And today, parents of 10-year-olds are being put in jail for letting their kids go to the public park and play alone. And you know I'm not making this up. The entire country became hysterical when Adam Walsh was abducted. Oh my God, a little white kid abducted, raped, murdered. We can't let our kids go outside. The entire country went on alert. This is such a terrible thing. And then we discovered he wasn't the only one. There were other kids out there. The same thing happened too. But, the odds of your kid being kidnapped, raped, murdered are less than of your kid being struck by a meteorite or lightning. But still, we went nuts. That's how much we care in this country, right? When a real story, when an actual child's actual story and their grieving parents can get on network news night after night, like Adam Walsh did, and he eventually got his own TV program out of it. I forget, who was the son and who was the father? I want to say Adam Walsh. Adam was the kid. Who was the dad? John Walsh. That's right. Thank you, Sean. So, John Walsh got his TV program. What this tells us is that as a nation, we're not completely without heart. I mean, in fact, I think, we've gone way too far in the whole, helicopter parenting thing, but that's a whole nother conversation. But as a country, we do have a heart. We do have compassion. And a lot of people are looking at what the Trump administration did with these children and is continuing to do with these children. While the acolytes, of Stephen Miller and the other people in the White House, and the woman who worked with Stephen Miller, who sat behind Judge Kavanaugh, Ms. Bash, and did the white power sign, and then Roger Stone coming to Portland and doing the white power sign with the Proud Boys and tweeting it all over the internet. This kind of stuff tells us that what is breaking down here, in my opinion, is basically good versus evil. And on the evil side, you've got Trump and Moore and Bash and Stone and the Proud Boys and all these other racists. And on the good side, you've got people who are going, wait a minute, you're taking children away from their parents? Children didn't commit a crime. The parents didn't actually commit a crime that's worthy of going to jail for. Historically, we have not put people in prison for these violations. They're, at law, the same kind of violation as jaywalking. We don't put people in prison for jaywalking either. But even if we did, we have ways to keep families together. That's historically what we've done. But no, Trump wants to, well, John Kelly came out and said, we're going to punish them hard so that other people will not come to this country. It's going to be a warning to them, right? This is, John Kelly obviously believes in the strong father model of parenting, the strong father model of governance that is at the core of conservative worldview. Somebody needs to be in charge, and it should be a man, and he should be tough. And if your little 4-year-old starts crying, just whack him upside the head and stick him in jail. And give them some drugs if they won't shut up. And that's exactly what we're doing. This is just so breathtakingly wrong. Diverting $10 million from FEMA to pay private, mercenary, blood-on-their-hands corporations to build prisons to hold children. And now the Trump administration is saying, that law that was passed that said that the government can't hold a child in solitary confinement in prison for more than 21 days? We're going to blow that up. And we're going to say that these for-profit companies can hold these children forever, or at least until they're 18, and then we can deport them. And we got companies that'll make a profit on deporting them too. This is the world that Trump and Miller and Bash and Stone and these other people have brought us. And frankly, I think America is waking up, and I think a backlash is developing, and I think it's a good and strong thing. And in about a half hour from now, we're going to have Jeff Merkley. Senator Jeff Merkley is going to drop by, and we're going to talk about just this. In the meantime, I'll be picking up your phone calls. We got a few other things in the news as well, so stick around.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's 17 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Susan in Brunswick, Georgia. Hey, Susan, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, here's an important point that I wanted to make, and this is why pharmaceuticals should be at a lower price and regulated by the government, is because all those pharmaceutical companies, all of the medicines that they come up with, it is all funded by our taxpayer money.
Yeah, it's not all, but it's the majority of it. It's well over half.
Correct. The majority of it is. Then they turn around, they patent it, and they sell it to us at prices that we can't afford. That's why it should be regulated by the government. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Susan. Well said. Linda in Matlock, Washington. Hey, Linda. Thanks for listening to KBCS. What's up?
Hi, I'm a registered nurse and have been for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. And the pharmaceutical industry, they really shifted their business model from going to doctors and doing lunch and learns to now they're doing a lot on the television.
Right.
And to the lady's point before, we spend about $30 billion in research and development. One of the drugs that came to market is called Harvoni. It is a Hep C cure, actually, about 97% cure rate.
Yeah, I have friends who've used it.
Yeah.
It works.
And the scientist that developed that, he actually sold his interest off in that drug, and his explanation was, yes, I was a government scientist at NIH that helped develop this, but there was a percentage of me that was like a business person, and he got like something like $400 million. This drug sells retail at $1,000 a tablet. And it's about a 12-week course. And with all the diagnostic studies that you need before, after, and all the follow-up, it's about $100,000 per treatment per patient. And so, yeah, we spend a lot. And Narcan, the intranasal Narcan, it's a DARPA-developed delivery system where you just have to basically just shoot it up their nose. It comes in a 2-pack. Mm-hmm. These meds are very, very cheap because they are generic, naloxone. And they wanted to charge our facility for a 2-pack, which they come like the EpiPen in 2-packs, because in case you have a failure on first administration, $124.
Wow. So for what's probably 25 cents worth of pharmaceutical.
Exactly. And of course, DARPA, the military, they were the ones that manufactured this delivery system because you needed battlefield medicine that could be administered very quickly by someone with minimal medical training.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, it is, and also with the opiates, the Purdue Pharma company that gave us Oxy has now gotten a hold of a patent for the Suboxone, which is buprenorphine, which is the addiction drug.
Right.
And they're holding that patent off in the UK. So they are going to make money on the addiction, they're going to make money on the reversing of overdoses, and they will make money on the treatment.
Yep. Yep. And my understanding is they basically changed one molecule on that, or one atom on that molecule.
Exactly.
And thus it became a, quote, new drug. And everybody's scamming the system. Linda, we just have 20 seconds, but I don't remember this happening in the 60s and 70s, and even frankly in the 80s. Yep. It seems like it all came post-Reagan. Do you know what the turning point was when the drug companies were deregulated like this? Was it at the state by state or federal or what?
I think it kind of went I think it seemed like it was over the whole country. It just seemed like they all bought into that.
Yeah.
I would like to make one statement.
Very quick.
Making money from pain and suffering is immoral.
Yes. Very well said. That is just like making money from war. You know, Franklin Roosevelt said that we will have no new war millionaires from this current unpleasantness, World War II. This is just profiteering and price gouging. Linda, thank you. Hey, Thom. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. Kano in Lakeland, Florida. Hey, Kano, thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Tom. Remember, I'm Kano from Lakeland for the Moose Herders.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to talk about our agenda. Now, we want the public to understand what we're trying to do. We want John Huntsman to be put in as vice president so he can negotiate a rules of engagement for cyber war with Russia. He's got contacts in Russia, and we need to tell Russia to quit hacking into our system here. So we want John Huntsman to be the vice president to negotiate a rules of engagement. Now, if I could send a message, all the senators, all the Republican senators in the Senate who will join in with the Moose Herders, we're going to call them the Lions, and there'll be a pride of Lions. And we're going to start with Susan Collins, and we plead with her, we beg with her to vote against Kavanaugh. We don't want corporate fascism in America,
Kano, let me interrupt you just for a minute. Kano, let me interrupt you just for a minute. People who are listening may not realize who you are. You are, I think, probably the only Republican in America Well, actually, no, there's more and more of them coming out who still has loyalty to the Republican Party and yet thinks Donald Trump is crazy and a danger to the Republic.
Yes, absolutely. Now, remember, Tom, our motto is convince Pence to dump Trump.
Okay. Well, I don't think Pence would take much convincing on that. He has believed since he was 13 years old that God wants him to be president of the United States.
Well, all right, now here's the thing. Also, Maxine Waters was on Newsmax on Jesse Lee Peterson's program, and he showed her saying, after we get Trump, we're going to get Pence. And I asked Maxine to please back off. Don't be premature. We may get Pence later if he doesn't act right, but right now we're going to need to use him to change teams and have him and Huntsman to be the team. Right now it's just Trump and Pence as a team. We got to get the old nag, but to mix our metaphors, the U.S. Republican senators who would join in with us to get the old elephant and pull him down. And we want to start with Susan Collins. She'll be a lioness. She can be part of the pride. We're going to help America.
If she doesn't cave on Kavanaugh, yeah, I'm with you. Keno, thank you for the call. It's always interesting hearing from you. Fascinating, actually. Hobart in Pearlington, Mississippi. Hey, Hobart, what's up?
Hi, Tom. A couple of weeks ago, I read James Hansen's book, Storms of My Grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting to end up dismissing it, but it actually surprised me because it has most of the facts I'm aware of in it. It's an excellent book.
I have not read that book. It should be on my list, and I should have read it. Tell me what you learned.
While I'm still nowhere near as alarmist as James Hansen about climate change, the interesting thing is I totally agree with his recommendations. Phasing out coal completely, but not instantly, because you're not going to get any voters by turning people's electricity off. That's a big loser. But
But you can get a lot of voters by offering them cheap, low-cost, clean electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, the Germans love their 100,000 rooftop program, which has turned into tens of millions of rooftops. Where the government worked with the banks and with the solar industry to provide basically, free solar power. Of course, the utility is not a for-profit utility in Germany, I believe. I believe it's state-run. And so, it was just what's best for society. But
there's plenty of good reason to phase out coal anyway, because of the mercury and arsenic, cadmium, and sulfur, and all the other pollutants.
Yeah, my only, as I recall, James Hansen is a fan of nuclear power, and I have a problem with that. And I think you do too. You are also a fan of nuclear power, as I recall, Hobart.
I'm ambivalent about it, but nuclear is one of those things you have to do right. That's
Yeah, and I'm not seeing that. In fact, there's a half a dozen nuclear power plants in the way of this Hurricane Florence that's coming toward North Carolina.
Yeah. Admiral Rickover made the Navy do it right. I think he ruffled quite a few feathers doing it.
But let's keep in mind, Fukushima came about as a result of, it was an earthquake, but it wasn't an earthquake that damaged the plant. It was water. It was water that drowned out the generators that were keeping the plant going during, when the power lines went down. And if something like that happens in North Carolina, we could have a whole world of hurt. Hobart, thanks for the call. Always good to hear from you. It's 27 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
We'll be right back with more of your calls after this. Stick around. Free Speech TV needs you. This is a variation on the World War II poster. It's true. Free Speech TV literally does not exist without you. You watch it, you tell people about it, you spread the word, and thank you for doing that. We are getting a lot of people calling in and starting to watch Free Speech TV saying, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went and found it on, fill in the blank, on Dish or on Direct or on Sling or on my Roku box or, online at freespeech.org. Whoa, some great programming here. Well, if you're one of those people who have just joined, here's how it works. Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization. We are not funded by big, giant corporations. And as a result, we have to come to you, or Free Speech TV has to come to you. I'm speaking on their behalf. You know, a couple of times a year and say, we need to pay the bills. You know, much like public television and NPR. And the many Pacifica stations that also carry my program. In that case, you know, we provide our show for free to Pacifica, and our show is right here on Free Speech TV, and as well as on commercial stations. But the point is that these venues, these nonprofit venues, particularly Free Speech TV, only exist when you call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Any amount will help. $10, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And you know, please don't break the bank. Just, you know, whatever you're comfortable with really helps. And we really need to keep this network on the air. And if you have the means, you may even want to consider letting Free Speech TV know that you would offer a matching grant, a matching challenge. If we get any of those in, we'll be letting you know about it as the week goes on. But right now, we need your help. We have not hit our goal any day since we began. We're getting close occasionally, but you know, we haven't cracked through that $10,000 a day goal that we have. So please call now. $30 gets you the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's a Vote 11-6-18 sticker. You can run around and stick it on the bumper sticker of your Republican friends. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would be vandalism. And the Vote Free Speech TV button, which you can wear, and you know, kind of shows what your standards and values are. With a $72 gift, you get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is a great book. It's very readable. It's oversized. It's a little larger book. It's great to just leave on the coffee table. And it's illustrated, but it's solid stuff. With a $120 gift, or $10 a month, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit, which is the button and sticker, plus the Vote Free Speech Vote FSTV, the logo on dark gray, made in the USA T-shirt. They're really nice. With a $240, plus you get the bumper sticker and the button. With a $240 gift, you get or $20 a month, you get the Free Speech TV hoodie kit, which is the bumper sticker, the button, and the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie. With a $360 gift, or $30 a month, you get the Free Speech TV Vote Our Future pack, and that is the T-shirt and the hoodie and the sticker and the button. With a $480 gift, or $40 a month for a year, you get the All of the Above package, and that is my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America, the Vote Free Speech TV logo, T-shirt, the Vote Free Speech TV logo sweatshirt, hoodie, plus the button and the sticker. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland and I'll take you to lunch. I'll buy lunch for you. I so enjoy these. We've got one coming up Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of people will drop by and hang out here watching the show, and we'll walk to the restaurant next door. But the bottom line is, it's not about how much you can give. A lot of small gifts are just as important as a few large gifts. And we are very, very grateful for all the small gifts, the widow's tithe, to use the biblical metaphor. And as opposed to, or in addition to, we're also very, very grateful for the large gifts. You know, some people who have the ability, the means, the financial means to help out in a big way, do so pretty much every pledge drive. And it is so useful and so important, particularly when they're given as matching grants, that we can use that money to encourage others, you know, to strengthen their donations. So call now. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. 877-378-8669. You can call it, by the way, I believe year-round, and you can certainly make a contribution at Free Speech TV's website, freespeech.org. And that contribution, if you please do it during our show, and it becomes a brownie point for us. But the bottom line is, if you value my program and the other programming on Free Speech TV, please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
It's Viagra for your brain, the Thom Hartmann Program. Just don't tell Limbaugh he'll want some. Larry in Asheville, North Carolina. Hey, Larry, what's on your mind today?
Well, I wanted to talk about what the nurse just said about Zabaquin and all these drugs. For the last 11 years, the VA has prescribed over 30,000 pain pills for me. And last January, yeah, I know, it's criminal. And last January, after coming out of the hospital with a stint, they came to me and said, we're taking your pain pills away. So I've had to learn words like Zabaquin and Zebutex and Kratom, and all this 9 months, I have begged and pleaded telling these doctors that I'm having withdrawals, and they would do nothing to help me. My blood pressure's gone crazy. So what this lady has said is that because they've taken away all of the opiates from our veterans and only will prescribe 5 days at a time, they've substituted with a drug called gabapentin. This drug is not approved for anything but seizures, and it will cause suicides. I'm a disabled vet from major depression with PTSD, and all they're trying to do is kill me. And I finally got a doctor to tell me the other day there was something they could do different. And they switched me to pure morphine, and I'm tapering on that, and the withdrawals have gone away, and the blood pressure has come back to normal. Yeah. So basically, they've thrown away the morphine and the Percocets, and they're taking on gabapentin and any other drugs, Zebutex and Zabaquin and all these weird names.
Yeah.
And they're still going to kill us.
Well, and gabapentin is, it's also, the brand name is Neurontin, and it's,
right.
They're not even sure the mechanism of action. It just seems to downregulate the entire nervous system. People take it and it slows down everything from peristalsis to pain, apparently. And the major use for it now off-label, because the on-label use is for neuropathic nerve pain. The major off-label use is for sleeping. For people who are addicted to sleeping pills, they're hooked on benzos or the Z drugs or whatever. And they're using Neurontin to deal with that. It's a complicated world, Larry, but it's a crime you got addicted to the opiates in the first place, and B, it's a crime that they're not helping you with that addiction. Tapering off addictions is a fairly straightforward process that has been known for 200 years. And it may take months to do it, and you get down to doses that are almost homeopathic toward the end, but it can be done. Lots and lots of people do it. I have friends who have done it. Go ahead.
I tried to tell them that the Percocets that I was taking were not working.
Yeah.
And they would not listen to me. They basically called me a liar for the last 9 months until a week and a half ago. This new doctor gave me a different prescription.
Yeah. Well, thank God for him or her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Larry, thanks for the call. My heart goes out to you. I mean, I have, it was a long time ago. I knew a lot of people who were addicts. I knew, a number of friends of mine got addicted to heroin, back in the 60s. And it was not a good thing to watch. In fact, one of them died, Bill Call. He was a brilliant musician, and he died from a heroin overdose. But we've come a long way, and we've got some good drugs to treat this stuff. But the profit motive in our pharmaceuticals is killing us. Tom in Cape Canaveral, Florida, you wanted to talk about nuclear reactors in the path of the hurricane. Do I have that right?
Yeah, the Savannah River site, which is what you were talking about, the number of reactors. There's 19 of them at that site.
Wow. Just in one site?
At one site. And in fact, you could look it up on the map. You'll see this big circle. And it's right next to Augusta, Georgia. So if you just look to the right, you can't miss it on Google Maps.
Oh.
But the biggest problem would be the two breeder reactors, because there's things that are, and in fact, you can find it in the Tom Clancy novels, made me fall on the floor during Clear and Present Danger. But essentially, there's a lot of waste material that has to be kept cool and aggregated. And these two huge 100,000-gallon tank farms, of which there's like 40 different tanks.
Right. Well, this is.
And so if you get hit with water, it's going to turn into steam, and it's just going to contaminate a huge area.
Yeah. You're adding water to the tanks, to the pools that are already cooling it, so that may not be quite as disastrous. But, just as an example of the stupidity of nuclear power from the get-go, Osama bin Laden, his original plan when he was putting together a plan to attack the United States was to fly an airplane into the the Indian Point nuclear reactor outside of New York City. It would have created a 100-mile radius of basically a dead zone, which would have included all of New York City and the New Jersey suburbs that are associated with New York, all the way out to Long Island, for 100,000 years or 10,000 years or whatever. And he pulled the plug on that and changed it to the towers, or Khalid Sheikh Mohammed did when they were planning this, because they believed that there had to be missiles, surface-to-air missiles. There had to be some sort of a defense of that nuclear power plant. And it turns out that there was no defense, and to this day there is no defense. But even worse than that is you don't even need to fly a plane into the dome, which is, concrete and reinforced steel. You could fly a small plane into one of the pools, these pools that you're talking about, and stir up and create a Chernobyl kind of event. It would be a massive, dirty bomb. And ever since 9/11, our disaster preparedness people have been having this conversation that I'm telling you about right now. It's no secret. It's right out in the open. And still nothing's being done because the nuclear industry doesn't want to pay for any kind of protection.
We figured out a way to safe it. It's called vitrification. If we put it in glass and bury it in the salt mines, it would be safe.
Oh, you could even keep it in the...
We're talking about $100 million, like a moon program.
That's exactly right. It would cost a fortune, and you could vitrify this stuff and leave it in the pools. Leave it in, leave it near the reactors. If worst case scenario would be, it would no longer be something that you could blow up with an airplane or a couple of sticks of dynamite and create a 100-mile radius dead zone. So spot on, Tom, spot on. There's this whole idea of nuclear power is just nuts. It's 41 minutes past the hour. Jeff Berkeley's going to be with us in a few minutes. Stick around. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. You never know. In all probability, we'll be back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And we're also taking your phone calls at 202-808-9925. Stick around. And welcome back. Kevin in Tracy, California. Hey, Kevin, what's on your mind? Thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV.
Again, as always, for taking my call. I wanted to talk that I'm on hemodialysis and have been for 3 years, and I go to DaVita, and John Oliver had an expose about them a year or so ago, and they're basically in the business of making profit off of terminally ill people. And while I'm very grateful that I have Medicare and Medi-Cal, I just think that that's just not a good thing. And also being poor on dialysis, it makes it a lot harder to get a transplant because rich people can multi-list and stuff. And I just wanted to just generally bring awareness to people how, awful it is to have kidney failure.
Yeah. And this, again, is something that would not be happening in California or Norway or Germany or France or England or Spain or Sweden or Denmark or, increasingly even countries like Poland and Hungary. It would not be happening because other countries around the world have adopted single-payer healthcare systems, Medicare for all type healthcare systems, and they don't have these wide disparities and these for-profit hustlers embedded inside their healthcare systems like what you're describing. Kevin, thank you for...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to say one other thing quickly. You're talking about that Nermal guy, and I just wanted to say he's like the new Nermal.
Yeah. Terrible pun, but good point.
Okay,
Kevin, thanks a lot for the call. It's good to hear from you. John in Grafton, Idaho. Hey, John, what's on your mind today?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I I have a suggestion that if we live in a post-Orwellian world, and I think that if they were to get rid of the Space Lab, which is a platform for spying on all mankind, if they were to able to get Congress to do away with the Space Lab entirely, and then have us take care of the Earth. This is where we live. We don't live on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I suggest.
I would be a little more narrow bore, a little more finely nuanced on that, John. I sure what I'm guessing is you're concerned about the militarization of space, and I would love to see an international treaty that bans the militarization of space. But the fact of the matter is that during the Bush administration, NASA's budget got redirected away from deep space exploration and pure science and toward largely military applications. And then on top of that, they started privatizing the functions. And so now you've got, SpaceX, you've got Elon Musk is going to be providing us with our rockets, if we want to take anybody to any place. And that's just bizarre. I mean, it's we put men on the moon in fewer than 10 years, by NASA, by having NASA do it, and it worked quite well. And now it's like, oh, let's figure out A, how we can militarize space, and B, how we can help somebody make a buck off it. And it just seems wrong to me. So, John, in regard to that, I'm with you. I'm not sure about the space station. I think that, to the extent that they can do scientific experiments, and they are, and they're experiments that are not done just to, enhance the power of the military, I'm pretty much in favor of it. We'll be right back.
Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter,
Senator
and
Jeff
Instagram.
Merkley on the line with us. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
And I should add, obviously, the senator representing the great state of Oregon, and one of the most solid progressives in the United States Senate. I am such a fan of you and your work, sir. You have led the charge to let us know that the Trump administration is trying to take money out of the FEMA budget and other federal budgets in order to hand that money off, presumably to private for-profit Republican crony corporations who are then using that to build facilities to permanently or indefinitely, I guess is the word they're using, quote, detain, imprison children. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's right. They laid out a report to Congress that they were taking $10 million out of FEMA. The report's from the month of June, so it was during the first month of the hurricane season. It came from accounts like response and recovery, or the account for preparedness and protection, critical accounts for FEMA doing its job preparing for disasters and responding to disasters, and sent that money off to build prisons.
Wow. Wow. What kind of response have you gotten, and has your office gotten? What kind of response are you hearing across the Democratic Party? And frankly, what kind of response are you getting from the Trump administration to your disclosure of this?
Well, let's start there. The Trump administration's standard operating procedure is to attack the messenger. Now, this information, they should have made it public. They're reprogramming funds. Americans have every right to know where their tax dollars are going, but they didn't. So I wouldn't have known about this information if it hadn't come to me through an organization that somehow got hold of it. It is extensive. It is detailed. It's certainly in a transparent administration that the people should know. And so their response has been to attack me and say this is politics. Well, this isn't politics. This is sharing what the administration is reporting to Congress. Reporting to Congress what it has already done, and it does raise this bigger issue, and that is the president's been on the air saying that the work of FEMA last year, the work in Puerto Rico, was an A-plus effort. And I went to Puerto Rico in May, and I went to the Virgin Islands, and I saw thousands of homes covered in blue tarps. I saw miles of transmission lines unrepaired. I talked to families where entire communities did not yet have power 9 months after the storm. In fact, they didn't end up getting power until a year after the storm. That is not an A-plus effort. So the challenge here is the administration's attitude has been, we were perfect, so how can you improve on perfection? No, there were big problems with the response in Texas and in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. And so what did you learn? What are you doing differently? How are you utilizing funds better? What help do you need from Congress? That's the attitude that we should hear from this administration, but we're not hearing it.
I had a question. I was thinking about this yesterday as I was walking home from work, that I think that probably can only be answered by somebody inside government who had access to things like Labor Department statistics. One of the sales pitches that we're hearing about the economy from the Trump administration is that not only is unemployment low and jobs are coming back, blah, 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 but that the old-fashioned blue-collar jobs, construction jobs, sheetrocking, roofing, electrical wiring, plumbing, these jobs are coming back so fast that there's not enough trained people to meet the demand. Now, obviously, the response to that would be bring back the unions and their apprenticeship programs. But I'm wondering if the reason that these jobs are coming back is because natural disasters are so much more destructive. People's houses are being burned down in California, flooded out in Texas, destroyed by hurricanes and flooding from New Orleans to Puerto Rico, and that what we're seeing is not the symptom of a good economy. What we're seeing, in at least in that context, in that narrow context of those kind of jobs, what we're seeing is actually the increase in the severity of storms producing its own little microeconomy. Do you know if there's any way to find out if my theory is correct?
Well, now that you've raised it, I'm interested in exploring it. I am absolutely confident that there's been a massive demand for construction-related professions in Texas because of the hurricane that hit Houston, and I'm absolutely sure I saw it firsthand in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So that certainly goes to your theory. I mean, we're also in an economy that I would call it a sugar-high economy, and that is unemployment was already at 4%, and the administration said, well, here's an idea. Let's pump up the economy even more by borrowing $1.5 trillion and basically giving it to the richest Americans. Well, we couldn't get the Republicans to work with us to do a solid stimulus bill when unemployment was 14%. And that's when you need to deficit spend to invest in America, not when we're at 4%. And so this is an artificial high. We're running up the debt. It's going to come back to haunt us. We should have these funds available when the economy isn't the strong economy that Obama built.
Yeah, absolutely agree. In fact, I made that point on Fox News on Sunday, which got some bugged out eyes. We're talking with Senator Jeff Merkley. I just have to say good on you for raising these issues and being such a progressive champion. Anything else that you want to share with us before we wrap this up?
Well, the other side of this formulation, which is the money is going to build prison camps, should concern all Americans. This is the outflow from the child separation policy of treat those fleeing persecution, rip away as criminals, treat them as criminals, rip away their children, rip their children out of their arms. They did this to some 2,650 children. 400 have still not been reunited with their parents. And now the administration, that they have been forced to stop that egregious policy, is saying, let's build family internment camps. The president requested this in an executive order he sent to Congress. There is a Republican bill in the Senate that has 35 Republican senators on that says, yes, we will authorize and build internment camps. And now the president says that he has a draft regulation, I guess it's several hundred pages long, to do it without action by Congress to establish internment camps. We made this mistake in World War II of locking up families. Children do not belong behind barbed wire. There was a perfectly good program called the Family Case Management Program that said, hey, if there is a family fleeing persecution and seeking asylum, we will have a very high level of contact with them until their asylum hearing comes. And the Inspector General for Homeland Security found that 100% of those families show up to their asylum hearing. So it is a complete lie for the administration to talk about families being released and never showing up. And this administration tore down that program. They threw things into chaos. They mistreated children, not egregiously, a horrific infliction of trauma by ripping them away from their parents. Now they want to pursue another form of trauma. We have to stand up and say, no way is this going to happen in the United States of America.
Yeah, this is antithetical to our values. It
exactly.
Fundamentally is. Senator Merkley, thank you so much for dropping by today.
Thank you, Tom.
And thanks for the great work you're doing. I truly appreciate it. Let's pick up some phone calls here. Terry in Florida, in Alachua, Florida. Am I saying that right, Terry?
Alachua.
So what's up?
Okay, I just have a quick question for you, because we've been talking about, listened to you talk a lot about Medicare and the Part D part of Medicare, where it was put in, the regulation was put in to forbid Medicare to, negotiate our drug prices.
Right.
So my question is, if we get the right people back in Congress, since they basically put that in there, can they take that back out?
I believe so.
Phew,
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
so that's another reason to really work to get the Senate and the House.
We need a Democratic supermajority. Absolutely, spot on.
Yes.
Terry, thank you for the call. Excellent point and an important one. Ben in Chicago, listening to 820 AM. Hey, Ben, thanks for listening to Chicago's Progressive Talk. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir.
You have the last minute of the show here.
Okay, I heard a comment earlier by somebody that called in that the voting machines were hacked by Russia. Did you hear that?
I have read stories that have suggested that that's entirely possible.
How is that possible when voting machines are not on the internet?
Well, A, there's ways to get access to the voting machines. B, and they're routinely updated, usually by USB drive. B, there are some voting machines that actually are on the internet. And perhaps most importantly, C, it's not even the voting machines themselves, it's the tabulators, which are part of the voting machine system, that are on the internet, continuously on the internet. And those are the system, and that's where you can really easily change vote tallies in ways that leave no fingerprints, they're invisible. And those are the systems that have been easily hacked into at DEF CON. Those are the systems that the University of Pennsylvania has demonstrated are so vulnerable. And they're vulnerable to hackers from North Korea, from Russia, from China. You pick your country. There are hackers who could get into our voting systems. So yeah, it's not all flowers and puppies. It's a real problem. Which means that we've got to get out there and get involved, right? Democracy requires it. It's not a spectator sport. Get out there, get active, tag. You're it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.